Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Presque City Council meeting for Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. We have all 7 council members present tonight, and we'll get started with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Up first tonight, we've got an introduction of our new tree steward from the Forestry Service. The city will be the host site for a community tree steward in 2026, the first time since 2014. Our steward, Ellie Blankenship, will join us to be introduced and share some projects she will work on while here. Ellie, please come up. Introduce yourself and tell us about what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting me chat today. I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about my position here and what projects we'll be working on this term. So I'm Ellie Blankenship. My official title is Community Tree Steward. My term is from mid-January through November 20th. I'm with the AmeriCorps and also Maine Conservation Corps. And I'm just really excited to be in Presque and all of our projects that we have lined up. A little bit more about me. I moved here from Northeast Ohio. I grew up on a small family farm where my passion for conservation kind of started. I have my bachelor's degrees from Otterbein University in environmental science and sustainability studies. During my time at Otterbein, I was doing a lot of volunteer management with different conservation groups, but also the on-campus resource center. So that was super rewarding. I also served in a previous AmeriCorps term in Illinois with the Boone County Conservation District. I was with the Natural Resource Management Department, so we were out restoring a lot of prairies and just different savannas, which was super fun. And I feel like I had to come in here with my favorite tree as a tree steward, so that is a pin oak. I haven't seen any around town yet, but I have a good feeling I'll run into a couple. Yeah. So looking at funding for my position in particular, it comes from the U.S. Forest Service, specifically the Urban and Community Forestry Program. In 2022, the Inflation Reduction Act was passed, and that gave like billions of dollars to the Forest Service to kind of trickle down into different programs like this one. So a lot of that money was kind of passed down to the Maine Forest Service. And then I also get my funding from AmeriCorps, which goes into Maine Conservation Corps, which funds my weekly stipend. And then I also get an education award upon completion of my term that can be used for loans or furthering my education. Yeah. The purpose of a community tree steward specifically is to just advance the Maine Conservation Corps mission. So that looks like carrying out conservation initiatives that will strengthen communities through hands-on projects, environmental education, and volunteer engagement. When it comes to the community tree steward program, our tasks are kind of to lead forestry resiliency projects that will engage residents in underserved communities, including data collection and monitoring, community forestry, forest management planning, and invasive pest management. And with the facilities department, we have a lot of projects lined up that kind of tick all those boxes, to help Presque grow our urban community forest. When it comes to host site selection, Presque had to apply to become a host site for a community tree steward. And we're placed in communities that have unmet forestry related needs. Our job is to collaborate with local volunteers to reduce tree risks, maintain public right-of-way, support community forests, and implement tree planting efforts. Specifically with the city of Presque Isle, I'll be contributing to the care, monitoring, and protection and promotion of the community tree canopy. So that photo there is like the cohort of us community and environmental stewards placed throughout Maine. Yeah, I'm the only one in Aroostook County. I think everyone else is kind of scattered downstate. Yeah, but they're all a great group of people, and we're super excited to just be promoting the Maine Conservation Corps mission. So looking specifically at what I'll be doing in Presque Isle, everything is with the collaboration and support of the facilities department. So one project we want to get started is reestablishing the Star City Arbor Council. So I think that was a few years ago, but we wanted to really promote and dedicate a group of community members who really care about our urban canopy and want to protect that. Yeah. And then I've also been updating the city tree inventory. So there was an existing one done by a student at UMPI in 2014. So I've been working on expanding that. Yeah, and including more trees and collecting more data on what we have. I don't know if you all grabbed a handout or have one of these, but there is a QR code at the bottom that has the interactive map that I've been working on. So you can click on any data point and check out its benefits, and also just what's happening with that tree and any resources it may need, which will definitely help the facilities department in the long term. We'll also be creating a Presque Isle tree nursery. That'll be in collaboration with MSAD School Farm. Yeah, just to promote the long-term health of our tree canopy and get some trees for long-term plantings. We'll also be reinstating and installing tree ID stations. This will be a really fun collaboration piece with MSAD1 students. Yeah, we'll just be bopping around town putting up these tree ID stations, which will be cool for community members to get involved and to learn more about what trees we have around town as well. We're also hoping to do some beautification plantings, mainly along the bike path, but also in just high traffic areas throughout the city. Yeah, just to promote the health and wellness of our native trees and plants. We are hoping to do some tree health and maintenance trainings. Hopefully I'll be able to lead community members, but also the facilities department in proper care for our tree health. We'll be evaluating the natural resources of our forest parcels, so we'll go out to city-owned parcels and see what the diversity is and what management plans that we'll need for that. Also, we're doing a homeowner tree planting initiative, which will be really fun and exciting. So members within the urban compact zone can sign up to get a free tree, and then I'll go out and help plant them if they want, and yeah, we'll do a little education event, which will be really fun. And then the community cleanup, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. Yeah, I'll just be kind of spearheading that, I guess, a little bit with Trisha and Tyler. Yeah, it'll be super fun.
Right.
This is a little bit of a snapshot of what the interactive map looks like whenever you check it out. So all those dots are trees in the city. Each is like color-coded by species. And then you can click on the dot, and this properties box will show up. And it'll tell you the DBH, the condition, any notes on the tree, and then also the current and 20-year benefit, which is a monetary value attached to each tree based off of the My Tree, which is a U.S. Forest Service tool. And it's based off of the economic and environmental benefits that the tree has based on health and the data that I collected. So it just gives a different perspective into why our urban tree canopy is so important and why we should promote it and protect it. Yeah, so that's kind of a snapshot of what we have going on. If you need anything, my email's there, or call the forum. But yeah, I'm super excited for what we got. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's great. Thank you. That's there's some neat stuff in there, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people looking forward to being part of this with you. You know, the students at SAD1 School Farm and others throughout the community, and I think you're gonna have a fun summer with this. And I think it's a neat idea and a great program, and looking forward to
Awesome.
it. I think it's great.
Thank you. Yeah, me as well. I'm excited.
I like trees too.
Woo,
The more trees you can plant, the better.
I
mean,
love it.
for providing habitat and shade and
That's
and
right.
erosion prevention and whatnot. Yeah, trees are great. So thank you.
Agreed. Yeah,
for your
thank
efforts
you.
and
Cool.
all that you do. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is there any other questions or anything?
Anybody else?
Yeah, we're good. Nice. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Ellie. All right, moving along to our public hearing portion of this evening's agenda. Item number 1 is a Chapter 67 Vacant Building Ordinance, public hearing and reinduction. So some background on this. Staff requests that we schedule a public hearing for April 1st, 2026 at the regular city council meeting. The previously scheduled second public hearing for Chapter 67, which would be on April 1st, the next council meeting. Vacant building ordinance is being converted to a first public hearing since the initial draft was presented. Significant substantive changes, have been made to the structure and enforcement framework of the ordinance. Most notably, the revised draft eliminates the registration and renewal fee structure and instead establishes a notice-based enforcement process focused on failure to maintain, secure, or abate unsafe conditions. Because these revisions materially alter the approach and the intent of the ordinance, the matter is being reintroduced to ensure transparency and full public input. The intent of the ordinance remains the same. The ordinance values safety plus growth. The intent is safety, reuse, and fairness to taxpayers and protecting first responders. It is about shifting costs from the public back to the responsibility of the holder. Under the revised approach, there is no registration fee, and there will be no penalty for unlawful vacancy. Written notice and time to correct are required before any penalty. Penalties apply only if an owner fails to secure or maintain after notice. This shift centers the policy on public safety and basic property stewardship. We want active buildings and redevelopment. We want responsible ownership, and we want our first responders focused on true emergencies, not repeat calls to the same unsecured properties. Title 17 zoning does not require vacant buildings to be maintained. The building code focuses on construction standards and life safety or active occupancy, and the property maintenance code is for visible conditions. These tools are general and broad in nature. They are not designed to fully address long-term vacancy. Each of those tools solves part of the problem, but gaps remain when a structure is empty, inactive, and deteriorating. The ordinance gives the city a proactive framework for managing long-term vacancy that complements existing codes rather than duplicating them and allows us earlier, more consistent intervention before public safety or neighborhood conditions deteriorate. So that is a little bit of background on this ordinance. Sonia, is there anything else you wish to add?
I have a presentation for you, Mr. Chair.
Go with this, sir? Thank you.
PowerPoint. Sent it to you. I sent it. It's in there. There'll be a brief.
All I have is PDF.
Okay, let me get it to you. One moment.
Bear with us for just a moment, folks. We're experiencing minor technical difficulties. Other than that, Goodness.
Yeah.
Well. Sorry for the dead silence, everybody. I don't have a moment to take to thank our sponsors or anything like that, so we're just gonna have to sit and wait and ride this out for a minute. The new age of technology and sending and receiving emails and such sometimes isn't quite as perfect as we would hope it would be. So that's what we're experiencing right now. So we appreciate your patience.
Tell us a joke, I guess.
I'm a little too embarrassed to make a joke. I don't know. I'm afraid I'd make the wrong one. But the mic's all yours, though, Herman. If you want, you're a pretty funny guy.
I'm not good at remembering jokes,
We're not gonna have
nor ones that could be said here.
Herman's improv at the city council meeting.
Looks aren't everything, right? I mean, he is funny looking.
Somebody's gotta be.
Right?
With as busy as things get on a day-to-day basis, it's no wonder that sometimes emails don't send or get sent or end up in the right place. So this is just a minor mishap.
It hasn't arrived yet, Eric? I wonder what's going on with my email.
Right there. Just open it up. That should be it, isn't it? Well, that's not it. The proposed vacant ordinance.
Yeah, several copies. Mr. Chair, do you want to move on to the number 3 and
Yes,
get that done?
I most certainly can
Okay.
do that. While
14th or something like that.
let's see. So, item number 3. Okay, moving on to our agenda item number 3 as a proposed moratorium on the Chapter 59A adult use and medical marijuana business ordinance. Some background on this. A request to place this item on the agenda for a public hearing on March 4th was discussed and approved in February on a proposed moratorium to Chapter 59A, adult use and medical marijuana business ordinance. This allowed us time to receive input on the current regulatory framework and the place of marijuana-related businesses development within the city. The moratorium limits the scope to 6 to 12 months and is intended to pause growth while we review and assess capacity, determine unintended economic development consequences in our downtown, and gives the city time to make sure the rules that regulate these businesses are actually working for Presque and reflect local conditions. Following that discussion, the City Council scheduled a public hearing for today, March 4th, to consider the use of a temporary moratorium as a planning tool. We will request that our appointed planning board would review the ordinance with the purpose to allow the city time to evaluate zoning, operational standards, and community economic impact before accepting additional applications. A moratorium does not affect existing licensed establishments and would not apply retroactively. This item represents the second public hearing on this matter. So, is there anything you'd want to add to that?
Thank you,
Sonia?
Mr. Chair. What we're requesting tonight is the moratorium. What is a little more vague is that we've expanded it from 6 to 12 months and asking for your guidance in how long that moratorium should be.
I think, I see no problem with a 12-month moratorium on this. That would give us plenty of time to analyze everything that would need to be analyzed and go over everything that needs to be gone over. And I mean, 6 months kind of is too, but 6 months really flies by, you know, that we got a lot going on from month to month, and to be able to pay attention to this that it deserves. I don't see a 12-month moratorium as being all that crazy.
No, I agree with that.
I don't know what the thought of the rest of the council is, but personally, that's my thoughts.
You know,
Anybody else?
Open it to the public.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this, being a public hearing? If so, now's your chance. No, seeing that, I would,
Mr. Chairman,
at this point, entertain a motion.
how about I do this? I move that we move to approve the moratorium to Chapter 59A Adult Use Medical Marijuana Business Ordinance as presented, with a moratorium length of up to 12 months.
Okay,
second.
put a motion on the table, made by Craig and seconded by Herman. Is there any further discussion among council regarding this? Doug?
Just to clarify, this is both recreational and medical?
Yes.
Yes, adult use and medical. Are there any concerns with that you wish to express?
No, I just wanted to be clear that that's
Understood?
both of
Any further discussion beyond that? All right, seeing none, I will entertain all right, we got, a vote. All of those in favor? That's 7-0. Motion passes to put a moratorium on the adult use of medical marijuana business ordinance as presented. Sonia, would you like me to carry on with item number 4, or are we ready to go back to visit the Chapter 67 building ordinance yet?
Let's get number 4 out of the way, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Let's get number 4 out of the way.
Okay, and we had skipped number 2 as well.
Oh, did we?
A renewal application. You want to take care of that one and then go to number 4?
Let's do that.
All
Let's do
right.
that.
Sorry, we're bouncing around a little bit here tonight, folks. It's,
Getting feedback too.
this little technical glitch threw us a little curveball. So item number 2 on our public hearing is to approve a renewal application for a marijuana license for Peter Haynes, doing business as Northern Maine Flower with a location of 540 Main Street. This item is a renewal application for an adult use marijuana establishment license submitted by Peter Haynes. This is not a new application. This establishment is currently licensed and operating in compliance with local and state requirements. This renewal has been reviewed by staff for completeness and compliance with applicable ordinances and state regulations. All required documentation has been submitted and the application is in proper order. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to address this, this renewal application? Seeing none. Council, do you have any discussion on this? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve a renewal application for marijuana license for Peter Haynes doing business as Northern Maine Flower with a location of 540 Main Street.
All right.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mike and seconded by Hank. No further discussion. All of those in favor? 7-0, motion carries. Okay, on to, bouncing around to item number 4, with changes to the Chapter 12 taxi cab ordinance. At the previous city council meeting, staff presented and proposed an amendment to Chapter 12 taxi cab ordinance, establishing a $125 late application fee for businesses operating as taxi cabs that fail to submit required licensing materials within the prescribed timeframe. The purpose of the proposed late fee is to promote timely compliance with annual licensing requirements, ensure consistent enforcement, and reduce administrative delays associated with incomplete or overdue applications. The late fee would apply only when an application is submitted after the established deadline and after a grace period of 10 days. The late fee would not affect businesses that apply on time. This item represents the second public hearing on the proposed amendment. So essentially what this does is those who are in the taxi cab business, kind of prompting them to get their paperwork in order and be on time and not cause any delays in service or licensing. Is there anybody from the audience that would wish to address the council on our taxi cab ordinance? Seeing none. Council, if any discussion on this? And
All the companies will be advised on all this.
Oh, yes, yep. I would imagine, yes, the current taxi cab operators that we have operating in our city right now would be duly notified of the changes and be made well aware of what they need to do and what's expected of them. And,
I propose we move on with the ordinance for $125.
yep. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the ordinance for $125.
Okay, we've got a motion on the table by Herman,
Second?
seconded by Craig. Without further discussion, all of those in favor? 7-0. All right. If we are,
We're ready, Mr.
we
Chair.
are
we're
ready,
ready.
okay. 'Cause
Thank you,
we-
Eric.
We were ready to move along. So we are going back to revisit public hearing, item number 1, chapter 67, our vacant building ordinance. Public hearing and reintroduction for the first hearing. Sonia, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening. This is an explanation of the vacant building ordinance from draft to revision. Before I talk about the proposed vacant building ordinance, I want to talk about what is not finished in our city.
Is it you?
There are buildings that look quiet from the outside, but inside, they are not neutral. They are collecting risk. They are collecting cost. They are collecting frustration from neighbors who feel unheard. Idle property is lost economic momentum. And here is the part we haven't resolved yet. We do not have a comprehensive inventory of what is vacant, what is deteriorating, and what is ready for redevelopment. Until that gap is closed, we're making housing and development decisions with incomplete information. A vacant building ordinance is part of the process of closing that gap thoughtfully and deliberately. Why this is important. This vacant building ordinance shifts the city from complaint-driven enforcement to inventory-driven management, which supports fairness and consistency, is a better use of staff time, and we see the landscape instead of the loudest problem. It answers the question, which buildings are quietly becoming neglected assets before they become public safety hazards? This protects neighborhoods from slow decline, keeps properties in the tax base, and improves public safety outcomes. A vacant building program is proactive instead of reactive. What steps have we taken to become more proactive? We've improved code response time, follow-up, and documentation. We've improved coordination between code enforcement and fire because shared information leads to earlier identification of unsafe conditions. We've taken more effective legal action by including our city solicitor earlier in the process and as part of a working group that repositions properties. And we've enhanced communication with affected neighbors and increased city manager visits to affected neighborhoods. Do we really need another layer? If we already have a property maintenance ordinance, code enforcement, and legal tools, do we need another layer? Yes, because a vacant building ordinance fills the unaddressed gaps between neglect and collapse. What are those gaps? The legal but deteriorating gap. Vacant, structurally sound, yet still code compliant. The unknown status gap. Underdeveloped inventory of vacant buildings and ownership. The slow decline gap. Property maintenance handles weeds and broken windows. It does not address a building sitting idle for 5 years with no reinvestment plan. The cost burden gap. Emergency responses, fire calls, and inspections cost money. Escalating vacancy fees shift that burden back to the owner. And finally, the redevelopment bridge gap combines enforcement with activation. Without a vacant building ordinance, we rely on complaints, consistent follow-through, and individual discretion. Why action is needed now? Reason 1, we've seen an increase in long-term vacant structures. Reason 2, public safety concerns with unsecured and unauthorized occupancy. Reason 3, fire risk with structural deterioration and ongoing crime. Reason 4, property maintenance nuisance complaints, hazards, and unstable buildings. And finally, reason 5, to understand which properties are sitting idle and how they might return to public use. And what do the experts say? Well, the Center for Community Progress says a chronically vacant building affects emotional and physical health with increased crime. The U.S. Department of Justice says ongoing criminal activity increases public service costs. HUD.gov says there are negative spillover effects that impact neighboring properties. The National Fire Protection Association says buildings in disrepair have less inherent fire resistance, leading to collapse sooner. So that leads to an increased danger to firefighters performing interior operations in unstable or abandoned structures. And I would say that probably our police officers are at risk and exposed as well. The National Institutes of Health say that pest and insect infestations, mold, growth, and disease are all part of chronically vacant buildings. The International Economic Council says that vacant and underused properties can harm property values and public safety, but they also present opportunities for creative, community-driven activation. The proposed vacant building ordinance is about preventing decline from becoming permanent and building a foundation for the next right projects. In other words, the city is preparing itself for reinvestment. What we have seen right here at home, evidence of rodent and pest infestations, significant sanitation concerns, vacant structures deemed unsafe or unstable, multiple public nuisance complaints triggered expensive public safety responses, informal outdoor habitation on vacant residential parcels, chronic vacancy, more than 11 extreme cases of vacancy requiring intensive intervention. And presently, there are approximately 54 vacant buildings in our TIF district alone. So let's dig into the first draft of the proposed ordinance. The version 1 initial draft came to council and we collected feedback. It contained registration requirement, a fee structure tied to application, maintenance expectations, inspection triggers, enforcement framework, timelines for compliance. This sparked questions, concerns, fears, and some great ideas. And we heard you. Concerns about fairness of fee structure, questions about due process, worries about burden on small property owners, vague enforcement discretion, desire for clearer triggers for action. Conscientious owners felt targeted and potentially penalized. Overreach and property rights issues. And things like alternative use, such as storage, appeared prohibited. The ripple effect of these collective concerns coming from council, staff, and citizens resulted in some dramatic revisions. Let's look at draft number 2. So, draft number 2, the fees are structured, adjusted, and separated from the initial permit. Fees are triggered by repeated public safety or property maintenance issues. We've given clearer definitions of vacancy, more defined notice and appeal process, clarified enforcement thresholds, improved the communication process, and focus on properties causing the issues. Version 2 is what we are presenting tonight. Our objective is to address distressed properties without creating additional barriers for property owners who are already maintaining their buildings responsibly. What changed in our approach? We defined the scope, we clarified the purpose and intent, we updated the fee to prioritize fairness. What this ordinance is and is not. It is a public safety tool. It is not a revenue strategy. It is neighborhood protection. It is not punishment or due process shortcut. It is encouragement to redevelop. We are committed to getting it right and taking the time it takes to get it right. Tonight, we've set the clock back. First public hearing for additional community input. Staff will review the feedback and propose refinements. And next month, the second public hearing, we will ask council to consider approval of the proposed vacant building ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Appreciate that. You hit some good points there. One I'd like to reiterate on is this is, as Sonia said, a public safety tool. and it is about neighborhood protection. And it does encourage redevelopment and just people taking pride in their properties. We've had some things in the past that have put neighborhoods in peril, if you will, and have endangered some of our public safety personnel. And those are the kind of things that really kind of help spur, put the idea behind this ordinance, if you will. So it's not a revenue strategy by no means, or punishment like Sonia pointed out, but this is our first public hearing on this, and it's something new, and it's just one of the steps that we are trying to take to better the community. And this being a first public hearing on this matter, I guess now would be the time. If anybody in our audience would like to address the council, please come to the podium and state your name and express your concerns or suggestions or changes or whatever it is you may have that pertains to this.
You don't want me to go there.
Well, I mean,
I'd be here all night.
well, be direct, to the point, and we're here. We're all ears.
I don't understand why you guys want to do this. We're already paying taxes on the properties. Yes, there is hazards, but when you sign up to be a firefighter, I used to be one until I got injured. When you sign up for a firefighter or an officer of the law, you know you're going into something that could hurt you. I mean, do I like the looks of some of these buildings? No. But you know something? You know what we are seeing when you don't see them buildings? A blank lot. I tried to buy 3 different buildings when I had the money and the ability to do it. I was told, no, I could not because I didn't want to I wanted to put a garage up on one and a duplex on the other one because it's a double lot. And I was told no because it wasn't sufficient enough. Well, now you know what you got? Empty lots. Looking at a field with the grass about 3 feet high. Okay, that's part of it supposedly was cleaning whatever, this vacant building. But I don't see putting another fine because where's that money going to? Whose pocket is it lining? I'm not trying to be nasty, but I'm just trying to get my point across. There's too many things. Yes, there is a lot of buildings. I mean, you can go around anywhere. What I see as an eyesore is altogether than what you see, or you, whoever. I see potential into fixing it up. But if you start penalizing these people and everything, you know what you're going to see? A whole bunch of empty lots. People aren't going to want to build nothing here. Because it's almost a communist city. You guys are telling us what we can do and can't do on our properties. I pay my taxes every year. I might be a little late, but I'm never behind. If you understand what I'm saying. I'm not the year behind, I might be a month or so late.
I understand.
But my property taxes are always paid within fashion. You know, I'm disabled, I'm on a fixed income, I have no choice. I have to pay
Right.
what I can when I can.
I get it.
But if we was to be turned around and slapped another fine, not necessarily me because my building's not vacant, but I'm just saying, you know, for owners, you get slapped with another fine, you're just going to turn around, well, forget it. I'm paying you moco bucks for taxes because they went up again. That's another thing too, but you know, it's like, I know this is a little bit off the wall, but it's like the cops taking the cruisers home at night. I'm sorry, when they go clear to New Sweden
Yeah.
and stuff like that,
That's
I know
a
that's a different.
that's a discussion for a different day. We're trying to
Right.
stay on topic here, and
But
I do
anyway.
appreciate your concerns and your input.
I just hate to see a bunch of them just saying, pardon my language, tell with it. I'll just tear it down, and all you're getting now is just land taxes.
No, I understand.
You're not getting land and building, which is a higher tax. There's been quite a few different things that's taken place that evidently I missed different meetings. I come into one time when we was doing for a new apartment complex. Right on the land ordinance, it said, cannot alter traffic or whatever. I brought the paperwork in with me and they said, no, that's been re-advised. How come when I was gonna purchase the land, that's what it was, but soon someone else with a heavy wallet, it gets re-advised.
Okay.
You know, okay,
Yep.
I'm getting a little bit off whatever
Yep,
again.
no, that's
but
all right.
I'm sorry.
No, don't
just-
apologize. We appreciate your comment and your concern and attention to this issue.
It just
And,
kinda aggravates
and it's
me.
noted.
Where, okay, where, if this does go through, where is the money going? Where is it getting appropriated to for the fines?
Oh, that I don't know. I would imagine it's just going into our general fund. I mean, this isn't a revenue machine. I think the intent of the fine is
To get someone's attention.
is to motivate you to.
It's an attention getter, I understand that, but,
I mean, it's not like we're gonna get rich.
you know, it's
Off
like.
It's
of-
also, I
people.
mean, it's also to cover the costs of the public safety and the work that goes into addressing it.
And that's what I'm asking, you know, okay, I accept your answer, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, if
I'm
a-
just
if
trying
a-
to find out
if
where-
a house is unsecured and there's rodents or there's multiple break-ins and the police department has to go there time and time again, that's what the fines are to cover.
That comes back to that's part of your job, I mean, I hate to say it, but I know it does take you away from something else.
Well, when your property falls into that kind of disrepair, or you start having issues with overrun with vermin
Wow.
and trash and whatnot, it becomes other people's problems as well.
I've had an overrun with yeah.
It's just,
But
do
there's
we-
nothing
do
I
we-
do,
do
you
we
know, I
do-
trap 'em,
do we
I
sit
trap
back and
'em
do
I
nothing?
take 'em somewhere else to drop them off at the water,
I,
and they come back. I even tried to take them out to Herman's
All
one
right.
time.
Thank
If-
you very much.
for the record, what was your name, sir? I'm sorry.
Scott Wilson.
Scott Wilson. Scott, thank you
I mean,
very
I
much.
just don't want no repercussion for bringing stuff up, but.
No,
I
there's
probably
No, we don't. That's
Yeah.
not how we operate. Man. That's no.
No.
But we truly welcome your comments and your concerns. We really do.
Yes.
And that's the whole point of having a public hearing on subjects like this. Okay.
There was supposed to be more here, I don't know if there is or
No,
not.
I
We'll find
understand.
But anyway, I'm here.
All right, man.
Thank
I
you.
get to voice my
pre-
opinion, right?
Yep, thank you.
we appreciate it. Anybody want to follow that up? Who's next? Sonia, do you know if we had an? I'm sorry.
No, I thought he said.
Chad, are you all set?
Craig was looking at me, I'm just listening.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I just don't know if any,
Yep.
you have any comments?
Did we have anything that you know of that was submitted via email or? This gentleman, you ready? Come on up, state your name and let us have it.
Good evening, everyone. Eric Cassidy. First, I'd just like to compliment the council and the city manager on the revisions to this. The initial draft, I felt, and I think a lot of other people felt, really didn't match the intent, at least in our opinion, and the revision is definitely much more in line with what the stated purpose is. I did have one question. It's right here on the screen still. It says that it is to encourage redevelopment, and I guess I'm a little unclear exactly how this is meant to encourage redevelopment.
Can I take a whack at that? One thing that we have noticed is that in the cases where people have had properties that are in decline, and because we've caught them so late, usually because by the time the process gets there, they've been deteriorated so far that they generally aren't redevelopable. But I guess the point here would be when you have a building that is been vacated, and it could be for whatever reason. Maybe the person is getting older and they want to retire, or they no longer want to maintain the building for rental or whatever it may be. But the person is kind of at that point that our intent through our economic development office would be to say, you know, what's your plan for the future? And if the plan is simply to say, I don't have a plan, you know, we really don't know what to do with the building, our intent would be to work with them to say, well, okay, well, would you like to market it? Would you like us to help you market it with bringing a business in that could buy it, that could rent it? You know, how can we partner with you to make it a viable structure again and to get it back into good stead that it's contributing to the community? So I guess our point is to step in earlier when it's possible to partner with someone before a building becomes deteriorated to the point where it's really a tear down. And I guess that's our intent with this, is with our new focus on redevelopment in the community, and to have someone that's going to be, you know, lock, stock, and barrel into that role to help businesses in the community to develop more, bring new ones, and to redevelop, that we're a good partner with that. And that's really the biggest intent with this, is to take that stock of buildings that are sitting there and saying, what else could they be, and can we help you do it?
Okay. I like what you just said and that intent, but it doesn't appear anywhere in this document, so I don't know if it should, or, you know, if there's
Yep.
some accountability that should be worked in
Okay.
on the
Okay,
on
good
the
point.
city's part there.
Thank you, that's helpful.
And then just to another point, I think Scott mentioned it. I do have a little bit of concern that you may drive some potential investors away from Presque Isle and into other areas that don't have these sort of restrictions. Just as an example, I mean, the first step in real estate development is acquiring the property.
Right.
And a lot of times the properties are acquired when they're distressed,
Correct.
because that's when they can be
Correct.
acquired affordably.
Correct.
And so that timeline doesn't necessarily match the developer's timeline for immediately, you know, going to renovate the structure. So, I mean,
Yep.
you know, that may be 2 or 3 years out in their plan. And so if that's their intent, that may discourage them from buying in
I would
Presque Isle.
imagine that they would have a business plan that they would have, that they would follow along with, and as long as we understood what the intent was and what their duration was going to be, we could work with them to help them maintain it.
Okay. I mean, again, that's a perfect answer. I don't see it in the document, so.
One thing
You know.
that you haven't seen yet, and Sonia has been working through different members of the council and her staff with a building inventory, land inventory, and other redevelopment tools to work with current investors in the community as well as future investors in the community. And that's kind of a future rollout of how we put our money where our mouth is to help people to come to the community. So I think a lot of that will be addressed in what she's going to present in the near future once we have the development part and the staffing for it, which we're actively working on.
Okay. The last comment that I had, and I apologize, I wasn't
No, it's
sure
great.
if I was going to speak tonight, so I don't know exactly where it is in the document, but somewhere in the document, you know, it describes the conditions needed to trigger this, and it has kind of a vague statement that says, or other code violation. And I think that's very broad, very vague language that may need to have some better specificity to it. I mean, because a code violation, as someone stated before, a lot of times it's tied to the occupancy or to the intended renovations, or, I mean, that could be everything from a cracked floor tile to a sprinkler system to a, you know, so it's a little.
100%. But in those types of things, the code office has a specific language about that, and basically it's again you coming back to the community and talking with the code department, saying, here's my plan, here's what I intend to do, here's my timeline, and then you working with them, and if something becomes unattainable or unable to do at that point, keeping us in the loop of it is all we're requiring, and that's what's in the code today.
Right.
So really it's just the conversation. I think,
I just,
yeah.
I can
Yeah.
find that in the
Yeah.
document, exactly what I'm referring to,
Right.
to
Okay,
help
Eric, could you
clarify.
just, yeah,
email us, yeah.
show
sure.
us exactly?
Yeah, and, yeah, I just felt that maybe that, it should be more specific in,
Yeah, how we interact.
well, when it says code compliance, I think the intent is more things that are, you know, eminent life safety or structural collapse
Right, right.
or nuisance based.
Right.
But when you just say code compliance, you
Yeah.
know, it could be a flexible drain pipe or something that doesn't have any place
Right,
here.
so what you're looking at a difference is the NFPA laws, which are the light stove laws that you're talking about, or what you're talking about is IBC, which is the Industrial Building Code. Both of those are two different sets of entities, but
Right.
both sets of codes need to be followed.
Right, but what I'm saying is, you say code compliance, which includes thousands and thousands of pages of documents. It's international
know,
building code, international residential code,
I work the
international-
field, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
I mean,
curious
energy
with where you draw that
Yeah.
line. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Well-
where you're gonna be.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
I get
where's
that.
And
the
I know
flexibility
that
there?
a reasonable code enforcement officer is going to do it properly. I just feel that the documents should be worded
Yeah, no, you're not.
specifically and
you-
consistently.
You're not wrong at all, and your concerns are well founded, and I think, you know, we've been in a punitive mindset for many years, and I guess, you know, facing up the facts are that our way to move forward is to be a good partner with people in our community that invest in our community, and we aren't gonna do that if we have a reputation of being a problem, that when you come to us, we're the problem. So, we know that, and that's not our intent at all.
The
So,
majority of this
yeah.
is for the vacant properties that have been vacant for quite a while, like one that Sonia took a picture of there. You know, it's beyond repairs. It needs
Right,
it.
and
That's the
Yeah.
focus of the basics here.
And I understand that, I want
Yeah.
the document to
Yep.
address it better.
to address that
Right.
and not, you know, it could be
It's fair.
misused if it's not worded properly. I'm not saying it
Oh, most
would be,
definitely.
but-
Code-wise, you're opening up a big can of worms.
Exactly, right, exactly.
Not really.
All right, that was all I had. Thanks, folks.
Eric, thank
Thank
you. I
you.
appreciate
Eric.
your time.
Okay.
Anybody else? Chad, you good? All right. Okay, well, that,
That takes care of that.
so with that, council, do you have any discussion? Anything, anybody would like to add? Any,
Only thing I'd say is just kind of throw it back out to the community, just like Eric just mentioned. You know, if you have concerns, if you have any input to us, love to hear it. That helped an awful lot in this last revision, and we're, you know, certainly we want to allay any concerns and want to kind of put our money where our mouth is and prove to you that we're really trying to be good partners. We want you to develop, and we appreciate what you do.
yeah, go ahead, Doug.
I've got a question. Where would this come into play that we do not have an existing code of some sort that would cover this?
Code is somewhat broad. This fills in the gaps that code leaves. For example, a building could be code compliant, like some of the buildings that we have seen over the last year. Technically, they're code compliant, but they're still not buildings that we want to sit idle. So,
Can you give me a more detail? If it's infested with rodents, that's not code compliant.
right,
If it's falling down, the windows are shattered, the foundation is crumbling, that's not code compliant.
sometimes a code officer can't go in unless they're invited.
Okay, but if it's severe enough, it would be
Yeah.
not code
Yeah,
compliant
but
from
we're
the
trying to
outside.
get ahead of that severity, right?
I think generally trying to have the conversation earlier in the process, when the lawn isn't mowed and the shutter starts to fall off and the roof starts to have missing shingles, and to say, you know, what's your intent, and not to penalize them at that point, but to say, you know, what are you working on? And if you say, hey, look, I'm in a I'm developing this property and this property and this property. It's on my list. This is my plan. This is what I'm doing. I'm securing it. We aren't gonna have vagrants. We've had a number of buildings in the last year that we were unaware that were in the community that people broke into, and we've had 2 major drug busts in those facilities. So that's been of another concern, and had we looked at some of the cues from some of the neighbors that had said, hey, you know, they aren't mowing the lawn, we haven't seen anyone around here for a while, but we didn't really have any reason to go in the house, we had no reason to really do much with the house, and then by the time it got worse, it was a police issue with people that broke in the house. So it's kind of one of those things. It's just kind of like Sonia says, to get into the conversation earlier before things get bad. And none of those things were code issues. They just were issues that started with property maintenance that then the vagrants saw that as a target because nobody was there. And next thing you know, it's occupied by breaking in the back door, and nobody knew until it was a drug house. So there's a lot of varying things that we've addressed, I guess, that are.
So how are you gonna know it's vacant? That it would apply to this?
Well, I think that's part of our things that hopefully between the police department, citizens in the community that say, hey, you know, if you notice things have changed, this house is maintained anymore, no one's around the house, the lawn isn't mowed anymore, you know, there's keys to that we can start looking, who's the owner, what's their intent, what's going on, maybe someone died, you know, we don't know, but to have that conversation really early on before the house deteriorates or the building deteriorates, or I think it's an awareness issue that we're going to have to bring with the public to say, you know, keep us apprised of these things, and our police are patrolling the streets constantly, and they notice these things too. So I think it just triggers that conversation earlier and allows us a mechanism to do it.
Is code enforcement gonna be the first hands-on on this? The first one,
I think the public and the police probably will be the ones that notice things because they're out more, and the code may be if they're out in the community, but I think that department is going to be where this will come, right, Sonia?
Yes.
So if you start acquiring fines or fees or whatever you wanna call it, and you get $100 to $2,500 per day of violation, say you go on the minimal in your 100 days, that's 10 grand. And how is a vacant building gonna, you know, that the person may not be around, how are they gonna pay that?
Well,
You're gonna put a lien on the property probably through the court,
eventually that could happen.
which is a way to take the property.
Could happen.
Well,
but
then you
I
better
don't-
strike out the line that says this isn't the intent.
Well, it's not the intent, because the
take the
intent is to
property.
start the conversation early to say, what are you doing? And work with them through the development office to say, do you wanna sell it? Do you wanna flip it with someone? What do you wanna do with it? I don't think anyone in their right mind would say, well, I'd rather just let it sit here and deteriorate, and then I'd end up losing the property rather than work with us to find a way that they could actively market it and get rid of the property. Or do something that's financially in their best interest. You know, I think that's the part that's missing, is we're not just saying, hey, it's your problem, you figure it out, if you don't, we're gonna fine you. I think it's saying, hey, how can we help you not to have this deteriorate and become a unsaleable, useless property? I think that's the parts that's been missing for a long time with us. No one's there to step in and say, hey, we wanna be your partner, how do we fix this?
So
How
not
is-
that I wanna play devil's advocate, but doesn't that tread on exactly what it is that Scott just said about an invasion of privacy and you telling me what I can do with my property?
No, I don't think so, because I think at the point that, that we can't have one person's home, property, or whatever it may be, hold the other people in the neighborhood hostage for a situation that just gets worse and declines the value of homes around it. Which we have seen, and we've had people sitting here in the last year several times, sitting here, do something about this house. This
Okay.
is an absolute
That-
mess.
Those situations, you know damn well, those have sat on our books for 7, 8, 10 years.
That's right,
And
and
that
no
is
one tackled it.
purely a city screw up.
Yes, it is.
So
This is,
creating an ordinance because the city has screwed up in the past and didn't do its job it's not gonna fly.
Well, but it's not that at all, because we have already the ordinance to handle those things, and that staffing that did not occur to have that happen, was most certainly a problem, and we have to own that, and we can sit right here and own it, because that has happened. But the fact is, all of those properties started out as somewhere someone lived or owned that was in good repair, that started a period of decline, and nobody from the city or anyone else offered to help at that point. And this is where we're starting over.
It's their property. If it's not against code and it's not infested, if I wanna put tire paper up on the side for siding,
It's maintained.
uh,
You don't say you have to have vinyl siding. You don't say you have to
It's
even, you
maintained,
know.
but it doesn't fit code, which kind of is,
So the
there's
point
a
is,
lot of other methods that you can truly unofficially do to keep things on the back burner. One thing I noted was go around and look if it's got an electric meter on the property.
Mhm.
That's one good real, now granted you could have a generator or all solar or whatever, but 99% of them, if it's occupied, it's gonna have an electric meter. Same thing with water.
Probably.
90 Dyer has an electric meter until I yanked it. Okay, that's not always an indicator. We need to know what buildings are vacant. The USDA alone has 4 buildings in our community that are vacant, and their roofs are collapsing. Okay, we don't even know what the next year is going to bring for another harvest of people coming through the council saying, please do something about this building that is next door. There are holes in code enforcement, and yes, you are right to point out that we, over the last few years, have not been diligent in following up on code enforcement, and now we're having to scramble and get our code enforcement doing what they need to do. The problem is, Doug, is that this gives us another tool to use. Understandably, the first tool that we brought before you was too heavy-handed. This one makes sure that we are not invading people's privacy any more than we would for code enforcement. But there are buildings that are empty, and if we don't even know what buildings in our community are empty, we can't possibly foresee which ones in 2 or 3 years are going to be a problem. So we're trying to get ahead of that. I hear you. I think you raised some really good points, and our own staff have asked, why would we need this if we have code enforcement? And if code enforcement hasn't been diligent, why would we add another layer? The thing is that when I evaluate code enforcement and I evaluate what we could have done, there were still gray areas where a vacant building ordinance will give them the strength they need to reach out to these vacant buildings. The other thing is that inventory tells us we're trying to build houses. We can't even do any meaningful infill of housing if we don't know who owns the buildings or whether they could be put back into use. So I hear you. I feel strongly that some version of this vacant ordinance has worked well all across Maine, and we need another tool in the toolbox, and we also need to do a much better job with our code enforcement, and we intend to do that.
Thank you, Sonia. Deb, did you have something you wanted to add?
I just had a question. Like a vacant building, say I owned it and I was on a low income. I don't have the money to fix it. But then there's a fine every day that puts me further in the hole.
Yep.
How do you, it's
Sure,
almost like
that's-
punishing somebody for not having any money.
That's a great question. But that person is paying attention to their property, right? That means there's no punishment. That means we start working with that person. That means we've at least got that on the rolls so that we know that that building exists and that it might be a future problem. So just just the fact that that person would reach out to us and say, I don't have any money, I got a vacant building over here, it's been vacant for 5 years. That's a relationship that we've started, and we now know about it. It's the people that may buy a structure and go to another state, and we don't hear from them for 5 years, and their roof is caving in. That is what this ordinance is intended to catch. And as Eric pointed out, some of the intent didn't get outlined well enough in the ordinance, and so it raises some of these questions.
Well, and the other thing too, Deb, that you gotta remember is that there's a number of different philanthropic and other organizations that can help people with home maintenance. It can help with insulation, can help with roofing, can help with siding, can help with windows. And if we can connect that person with that, then the money issue shouldn't be the issue. But again, it's us being a good steward to help people in the community that are reaching out saying, you know, I'd do more, but I can't. But the other part too that, you know, we've talked about as well, that, you know, there's also a lot of civic organizations, clubs, kids that need hours, civic projects and things. Nothing says we can't set up a, you know, civic public mowing thing. You know, if an older person says, look, I just can't mow my lawn, why can't we send some kids over to help them mow their lawn? You know, that they want to do it as that. So I mean, there's some different philanthropic things that I think we can do that, but we've got to have a mechanism by which we set up something and do that. And again, it's not to be punitive, but we can only have a conversation and if we have a mechanism that's consistent across the community that puts something in place so that we have a way to do that.
Mike, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I mean, I understood that this was just the only way we can deal with a building that is in bad disrepair right now is through the condemnation, which you basically have to wait till the building gets to the point where it needs to be tore down. This is just here to allow us to intervene sooner.
Yep. Yep.
That's the whole point.
Okay. No, I mean, I see everybody's point, both sides, and that there's all kinds of pros and cons revolved around this. I kind of view this ordinance as a preventative maintenance tool of sorts, if you will, that would prevent properties from getting to the point of such disrepair and caution within the surrounding properties. But there's definitely plenty here to consider and discuss, as well as I'd be looking forward to some legal advice as to what is or isn't or should or shouldn't be applicable to this. But anyhow, our resolve that we're looking for is to schedule a second public hearing for Chapter 67, the vacant building ordinance. Does council feel as though our next council meeting on April 1st, 2026 is sufficient time, or is it standard procedure to schedule your first and second public hearings back to back? And I mean, I don't know what the will of the council is. If you want the second public hearing
Yeah, we've already
next
delayed
month,
it once,
okay.
and I think if anything,
So does
we
it
come up with something, we need to get that in for one, applicability once snow melts.
So that's kind of what I'm kind of trying to get a pulse on here is.
Well, I'd say go ahead and schedule it for April, and if the public has a lot of input and they bring it to us and it creates another significant revision, then we'll have another first meeting in April. But, you know, if not, and there's some things we can tweak, then we'll, but I think it's fine. But I'd move we schedule a second public hearing for Chapter 67 vacant building ordinance for the April 1st, 2026 council meeting.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion made by Craig and seconded by Michael. Any further discussion, folks? All right, seeing none, all of those in favor? 7-0. All right, we'll revisit this again, April 1st, 2026. I want to thank everybody that addressed the council with their concerns and
Absolutely.
their questions, and and had the actual courage to come up to the podium and express their concerns on this topic. I appreciate that. Thank you. Moving along, up next is the citizen comments portion of this evening's council meeting. This is an opportunity where members of the public are invited to address the city council on matters that are not on tonight's agenda or during the designated public hearing portion of a specific item. Your comments should be directed to the chair and limited to 3 minutes per speaker unless otherwise adjusted by the city council. Speakers are asked to state their name and their address for the record, and the council will listen respectfully to all comments. While councilors may ask for clarifying questions, this is not a time for debate or immediate action. Matters raised may be referred to staff for review or placed on a future agenda if appropriate. Did you have a citizen comment?
Remember how I started to say something?
Now you can if you want.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
3 minutes though.
2 minutes.
Thank you.
It's me again, Scott Wilson. I just want to know, I've asked this before with Presque Police Department. They're doing a good job. I'm not running them down or nothing. But why are they taking their cruisers home now when some of them live in New Sweden and Caribou and New Wade and
They're charged,
it was
they're
said to
charged
me
and
one
they pay for
time-
that. They actually pay us for that. We don't
Okay.
pay for their gas or their mileage to do that.
Well,
They
that's what
pay
I
out of
wanted
their
to
pay.
find out, because at one time I'd asked, and the nearest I was told was it was part of their wage package. And I'm thinking to myself, wage package, okay, I worked for a company that supplied a truck for me, because I was a foreman. He figured that that was about $8 an hour. Okay, fine and dandy. So I'm thinking of that, looking, well, okay, you're driving your car clear up to beyond New Sweden. By the time you paid for maintenance, fuel, and everything else for it, you've been overpaying the $8. You know what I'm saying? The
Yeah, no,
wear and
understand.
tear on the vehicles and stuff.
Yeah,
But
understand.
the way, like I said, the way it was explained to me one time, and that was just vaguely, was it was supposedly part of their hourly package or whatever.
Yep. The biggest reason I feel that we allow the officers to take their cruisers home, it's part of a emergency response preparedness, if you will. Okay. Yeah, you might not be on call tonight. You got the day off or whatever, but your car's in the yard, and all of a sudden you get a call. Hey, something big's going down, and you got to be there now.
Okay.
Your stuff's there. You're ready to rock. You're ready to be
Okay, I
arrive
understand.
on scene, and it's
I understand your point there. But okay, now we're gonna go to the next stream. You got the same deal with the firefighters. They're not taking the trucks home. Well, they've got an emergency too that they've gotta get to. How many years did this police department work with X amount of cruisers, one cruiser for 2 officers? And you had a spare. I can't remember how many they said we've got now for officers, but I know it was an astronomical amount of vehicles because of spares. If one breaks down, they gotta send it away, they need something. Which I understand, you need a spare. But
Well,
the maintenance and stuff on them have still gotta be, and the price of purchasing,
we don't
I know you don't
purchase
buy them all at once.
We don't purchase them at all anymore. They're leased.
Well, yeah,
And
but
they're
you're still
they're
paying.
turned over every 3 years. The vehicles actually, in this program,
Null and void.
are less money in this, and I guess, this isn't really a time for us to completely,
ask
go
clarifying
over all of this,
questions
but just to
off the
suffice
top.
it to say that,
Right.
we did a cost-benefit analysis with this when we first went into the program. We were the first municipality in Maine to do it, but there were several colleges that had, but in New England there were several. We are now one of many communities that do this because of maintenance issues, turning the cars over, not having to purchase them, and then let them become kind of derelict as they get older, and there's a lot of maintenance to them. So our actual repair costs are lower than they've been. our response times when we have different things. We've had 2 officer-involved shootings. One of them was up on South Main Street. The average response time to that event was under 5 minutes. Some cars were there within 2. And if they have to go back to the station, get a car, and be called in for it, that response times for those things have been 10 to 15 minutes. And so the community is better served today than it ever has been because of that. And then the last thing I would say is that years ago, when you're talking about that, we might have had 4,000 or 5,000 calls in the course of the year. This year, we've gone over 13,000 calls in the last year. So the response that the police are having to go to, and the times of day and the timeliness of it, are entirely different today than they've ever been. This is just more than ever.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pieces to it, but we could get you more information
Okay,
on it.
but okay, next thing is,
Counselor,
you've got this
we're
one,
over the 3 minutes. Can we,
you've got this one,
he's got the gavel.
reconstruction officer.
I'm giving him this.
I've heard him in Limestone, I've heard him in Fort Kent, different
They
places.
pay us.
Now, that's what I was gonna ask. Do they have to pay the
Yes.
police department for that
Yep.
service?
Yep.
You know, I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse.
Nope,
I
nope,
just want
nope.
to find out. because
Absolutely. You're due
Sometimes
every,
debt to income ratio, and that's why our taxes are going up.
Yep. Well,
but you're due every answer you want, and glad, and the police department and the city manager can always get you more information.
And like I said, they're doing a fine job. I appreciate what they're doing. But
all right.
one thing I would like for them to do though is patrol Elm Street a little bit better.
Okay.
Because since they put them stupid apartments up there,
Okay.
now I've got to race.
Your 3 minutes is up.
No, but you got to back into your driveway because you can't back out.
Okay.
You wouldn't dare to. If you come over to my place to visit,
Well, I thought that was
And you
the
went to
thing.
back
You
out,
had to back in.
you're putting your life in your own hands.
Couldn't
Okay.
drive on the back.
I mean, they come around that corner, they put the speed limit and sign up there, and they just tear them back down. But that's got to be addressed somewhere before somebody gets hurt or killed. Thankfully, the kids that used to be there when I first got there are grown up and gone.
Yep.
I'm older than Herman, so.
Thanks, Scott.
Scott, thanks for your questions and your comments. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Anybody else? All right. Moving along. Kim, it's not your turn yet.
Citizen comment.
Oh. Please keep it under
Hey,
2 minutes.
As you've
All
noticed,
right.
our city clerk is
Yes,
on
okay.
vacation this evening. And the city did receive a letter addressed to the council. She has asked me to read it to you in her absence.
Yes. Yes.
To the Presque City Council, attention Councilor Hank King and Councilor Mike Chassie, Downtown Revitalization Committee. Dear Councilor King, Councilor Chassie, and members of the Presque City Council. On behalf of the Presque Downtown Revitalization Committee, I'm writing regarding recent and anticipated applications for appointment to the committee. City Manager Sonia Eiler has advised that, as applications are received, they will be moved forward in accordance with the process, since it is the council's authority to appoint members. We appreciate that guidance and the council's continued support of the committee's work. At this time, however, the committee would like to formally share that we have reservations about appointing new members until we have established a clear strategic foundation and an agreed-upon approach for the year ahead. We believe it is important to clarify our mission priorities, work plan, and capacity before expanding membership, so that any new appointees are joining a committee with a strong structure, clear expectations, and a well-defined strategy. Over the coming meetings, we intend to prioritize strategic planning sessions to establish this refreshed strategy and direction. In addition, we will be advancing several mission goals at the subcommittee level, including recentering our work on downtown revitalization outcomes and measurable priorities, coordinating closely with the Maine Development Foundation on the VPI project, gathering and incorporating community input to guide next steps, and evaluating and adjusting the Rockin' on Riverside's efforts and related programming to ensure our time, energy, and resources are focused on initiatives that most directly support downtown revitalization. For these reasons, we respectfully request that the council consider deferring any new appointments to the Downtown Revitalization Committee until the committee completes its strategic work and presents an updated approach, priorities, and recommended membership needs for 2026. Thank you for your consideration and for your continued partnership in supporting a strong, coordinated revitalization effort for downtown Presque Isle. We would welcome the opportunity to share our updated strategy once it has been developed and to revisit membership at that time. Sincerely, Colin Darrell, Presque Isle Downtown Revitalization Committee.
Very well, thank you, Kim. Okay. Moving along, there's nobody else for citizen comment, correct? Okay. So moving along to our consent agenda item, portion of this evening's. You good? Okay. Moving along to our consent agenda tonight. Item number 5 would be to approve the minutes from February 4th, 2026. Item number 6 would be to approve the 2026 warrants, number 3 through 6, totaling $7,214,949.17. And a consent agenda item number 7 would be to appoint Louis Brewer to the Library Board of Trustees with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2027. If the council wishes to...
Mr. Chairman, I we move the consent agenda as one item.
I'll second it.
Very well. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All of those in favor? 7-0. All right. Motion carries. So that brings us to our new business portion of tonight's city council meeting. And at this point, I would like to take a moment to present to Kim Smith on the behalf of the state of Maine. Is this working? Be it known to all that we, the members of the Senate and House of Representatives, join in recognizing Kim Smith of Presque Isle, recipient of a Spirit of America Foundation Award. The Spirit of America Foundation was established to encourage and promote volunteerism, and the foundation presents awards to honor local individuals, organizations, or projects in appreciation of community service. We extend our congratulations and best wishes, and be it ordered that this official expression of sentiment be sent forthwith on behalf of the 132nd Legislature and the people of the state of Maine. You are welcome. Thank you. Now, so moving on to item number 8 on tonight's council agenda is going to be a tourism update by Resource Development and PIO Officer Kimberly Smith.
Good evening, council. I have a tourism report for you, and it is threefold tonight. In your packets, you received the memo and the attached documents. The first thing I would bring to your attention is the MPX report. This is a report that's put out by the Tourism Council on a quarterly basis and gives you a good snapshot of who is looking at our area to come and visit. So on the map, you'll see red numbers and green numbers. The red numbers for each state represent how many inquiries we received from that state about our community, and not just states, but actually countries as well. And the green is the number of packets that were sent out. So during the period of September through December 2025, there were 1,820 inquiries received about Aroostook County from places beyond. And out of that, 322 packets were actually sent. Secondly, Oh, and I should mention to you that we average about 700 packets per year. So considering we received 322 in 1 quarter is a really good number. Because if you multiply that by 4, it means that things are looking up. Secondly, the main office of tourism reports to us that Facebook and Instagram are the most effective at getting the word out about our communities, and not influencers that a lot of people have assumed. Lastly, you're going to find in your packet some slides. These are actually just excerpts. I didn't put the entire slideshow in there. About data that is being collected. And this is really exciting because in the past, and I'm talking several years ago, when we asked the main office of tourism for statistics on who was visiting our region, what they were saying to us is, we can give you the number of people that crossed from New Hampshire into Maine. That tells us nothing up here. That doesn't mean just because they crossed into the state that they're going to make their way up to Aroostook County. So that was disappointing. In the last several years, they moved a step further and they began using cell data. What cell phones were active in the area? Where were those people from? And again, that's an improvement, but it's still not a really accurate glance at who's visiting our area, because children have cell phones. Just because they're in the area doesn't mean they're actually spending money. So we could say that there were people here, but we had no idea what was actually being done with that money. And now we have a brand new tool through the main office of tourism, put out by a company called Zydeco. And Zydeco is out of Salt Lake City. And what they are using now is advanced data science, AI, and proprietary technology. And what they're using is actual credit card expenses. So we can now tell exactly where they're from and what they are spending their money on. So we know when they're buying food. We know when they're purchasing stays at local lodging. We know when they're renting cars. So we're going to be getting a lot more valuable data in the very near future. And I'll kind of leave it at that. The slides are there for you to look at.
Thanks. Wow, great.
I'm next, so I'm just going to stand.
Kim, am I understanding this correctly on this? Says in-state versus out-of-state visitation share.
Yeah.
Aroostook sees a higher share of out-of-state visitors than the rest of the state?
No, our numbers in Aroostook County went up by
Okay.
2%.
I got you. Okay. That's some really cool data.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, if you're into data and numbers and stuff, that's some really interesting stuff.
Yeah,
That's,
it's kind of
it's
exciting.
good news,
after-
really,
yeah.
because, yeah.
After years of feeling like the,
Hey, we're up here.
the ugly stepchild,
Yeah.
we finally are getting some useful data. So
Oh, that's cool.
really
Awesome.
encouraging.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kim. How about up next, approve the proclamation for Founders Week in April 2026.
So as you know, this is the semi-quincentennial.
Yep.
And we've added a new event, and that's, yes, and Craig has his new semi-quincentennial shirt too. And we have added a new event called Founders Week. Presque incorporated as a city in as a town in 1859, and the date of that incorporation is April 4th of 1859. And so we are calling that entire week Founders Week. In your packet, you have the entire calendar for the week. We have lots of really fun things going on. So if anybody wants one of those calendars, let me know. But we would really appreciate it if council would proclaim that entire week to be Founders Week.
Well, I think that sounds like a pretty good idea.
And there is a proclamation attached. Do you want me to read that?
If you want to, by all means.
Whereas the year 2026 is America's semi-quincentennial, 1776 to 2026, and whereas Presque was officially incorporated on April 4th, 1859, and whereas Presque was founded through the perseverance, vision, and hard work of early settlers who established a lasting community in northern Maine, and whereas, since its incorporation, Presque has grown and evolved into a vibrant city that serves as a cultural, economic, and educational center of the region, and whereas the history of Presque reflects the enduring American values of democracy, community service, resilience, and local self-governance, and whereas the celebration of America's semi-quincentennial provides a meaningful opportunity to reflect on Presque's role within the broader story of our nation, and whereas commemorating Founders Week offers residents, businesses, schools, and civic organizations an opportunity to honor the past, celebrate the present, and inspire future generations, and now therefore be it proclaimed by the City Council of the City of Presque that the week of March 30th through April 4th, 2026 is hereby designated as Founders Week in Presque during this historic semi-quincentennial year, and all citizens are encouraged to observe this week with appropriate activities and celebrations recognizing the city's founding and heritage.
Hear ye, hear ye.
So at the end of tonight's meeting, I
geez.
have the official proclamation for you to sign.
Great.
Don't go anywhere.
Fantastic.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the proclamation for Founders Week.
We have a motion made by Craig and seconded by Herman. All of those in favor?
Thank you all.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, moving along to item number 10 on this evening's agenda is a presentation by Airport Director Scott Wardwell on the airport EAS recommendation process and the ARF SRE building expansion. Scott?
I am not Scott.
He's got
Scott, you
hair.
have hair now. Scott has
Yeah,
hair now.
Scott's got hair now.
Bunch of wise guys, huh?
Yeah. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I'm Granville Junior Lamb. I'm the airport advisory chair. So I'm going to be presenting something that we've had at our meeting, and I just want to present it to you as a council. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share our recommendation process for the essential air service for 2026. We'd like to state that we're very blessed here in Presque Isle, and actually in Aroostook County, to have the airport that we have.
Yeah.
If we didn't have it, there's a lot of people wouldn't be coming in or going out, and this is one of the items that, if you're moving here, you're going to be looking as what's schools, what's the hospitals, what's the airport that you have, what communication, what way can you transfer or move around or go to places. Our recommendation process that we are in hopes that it will help to streamline the process that we've got in regards to the EAS and better clarify with all parties involved with a minimum number of steps with this. I know in the past a lot of work has gone into it. We have a meeting, you have a meeting, and you're trying to get people in the airlines to come in that's going to bid if there is more than one that's bidding. So I just want to be able to give you some information tonight. You have it here and it's up on the screen. What we're going to do with this slide number 2 that you'll see is the council, this is the essential air service process. It's going to be the city council recommendation, and it's a timeline in the past history. You're going to see all of this laid out in this presentation. And so we'll just move on to item 4. Screen 4 there. We have
the Airport Advisory Board, there's a timeline here. Don't get too nervous over it all. You're gonna get it at the end. I'll explain it all to you. Just be able to take it all in is good. We as the advisory board, the city manager is gonna schedule a joint session with the city council and with the airport advisory. So what we're trying to do is to bring the two together, have one meeting, have the airlines that's gonna do their presentation, and then we're not jockeying around and somebody not getting all the information. We feel as though that we could do this, also, we can conduct a public joint session of the city council and with the airport advisory board. And the letter of recommendation would be sent to the US DOT, the last official action by the city. And that will be further talked about a little bit later on in the slides. What we have come up with is that we have, within 3 business days from the closing of the bid period, at the next slide, if you would please, within the 3 business days of closing of the bid period, the airport advisory would hold a meeting for the purpose of the board to discuss the proposals received. We've already scheduled our meeting. We know that when the meeting is going to, when the proposal is supposed to be approved by the US DOT, we've got a meeting that's scheduled. And all that is for the advisory board is we just want to be able to say, okay, what is it that we're getting? We want to know it. I mean, we're going to get the information over the weekend, be able to look at it, but on Monday we'd be able to sit down and be able to go over it. And it's all it is general information. We're not voting on anything. We just want to make sure we understand, have a clear head on what is taking place. And the board will be able to discuss whatever it is between themselves about that. And there will be no airline presentation or anything that's going to be done at that particular time. No consult. It's just us getting a little bit of an understanding and getting a handle on it. They'll be open for the public if they want to come, but there's no comments from the public will be able to be taken at that time. And the airport board is not going to make any vote at that particular time. We're not doing anything with it. We're just a general to look at it. The next slide, please. Number 6 is the city manager will schedule a joint session. This is where we're looking at the city council, airport advisory. Everybody is on the same page. And what would happen is the city manager will schedule a joint session with the city council and the airport advisory board. So in other words, we're all going to come together. And the location of the meeting will be such that there will be adequate room for all participants, including members of the public and the media. It needs to be in a location that will allow for the airline to give a presentation virtually if they have to, or if they want to come and be present, they will, so that everyone will hear their presentation at the same time. And that will be set up initially like a workshop, and then transitioning to a traditional city council for the official city council vote. So this is just a, if you decide to do it here, we're going to be here. We could all sit and talk, ask questions, listen to the presentation. So number 7 slide. The entire joint session will be open to the public. First, any airline who wishes to present their presentation, they are allowed to be able to do that. Any airline choosing to give that presentation at that time. Each airline will have a Q&A time so that we can ask questions to them, whatever their presentations they may give. That's not just us as the advisory, but you as the city council. This is an open forum. And at the conclusion of whatever airlines that may be here, that whatever way they present it to us, the air service development consultant that we have, he would give his analysis of what he sees. And this person is somebody that he analyzes everything that's going on with all the airlines. He's on top of it. And he will be able to give his analysis of what he sees taking place.
And there'll be a Q&A question time also there. And after that, Air Service Development Consultant presents his portion of it. The airport director will be able to give his analysis of the proposal. And the airport director will also have a Q&A time with the presentation. So everybody is getting a chance to talk, get a chance to, lack of better terminology, say put your 2 cents in, you know, to be able to say this is what it is, what you think. And after that, after the airport director presentation period, the public will have an opportunity to comment on any airline proposal that they may see at that time. The Q&A will be between the presenter, between the city council, between the airport advisory board, the city manager, and the airport director. We'll go on to the next slide, slide 8. After the public comment period, the city council, the airport advisory board, and the city manager will deliberate. We'll say, okay, here it is. Let's lay our cards out. And the deliberation will be the format of like a workshop with the city councilors, airport advisory members, and the city manager, and discuss each of the proposals. This process will and hopefully will provide a better tool to make it an informed decision of what we need to do as a city. We as the advisory board will feel more comfortable knowing we're working with you, you're working with us, we're laying it out. We know you have the final say is what you're going to propose, and we want to make sure that we're part of that. But at the same time, we want to put our 2 cents in, but at the same time you can do whatever you need to do. At the conclusion of the deliberation, the airport advisory board will just take our seat out in the audience, and the meeting will be turned back to the form of a city council meeting where you guys will make the decision, a motion, a decision, the final vote on that to the council as to what you recommend for the US DOT. If a waiver of an essential air service criteria is required, a separate motion to discussion, a separation, final vote will be taken by the city council. That has to be voted on each time that that process is done. Then what happens is once you've made that decision as to which airline that you propose, within 2 business days, the joint session, the airport director and the city manager will draft a letter of recommendation to the US DOT reflecting the choice for the Presque City by the city council. The letter will stipulate any requirement waivers adopted by the city council, and the letter recommendation be signed by the city manager on behalf of the city council. And when signed, the letter will be sent to the US DOT. If we go to slide 10, I know over the years, I've been on the advisory board for 10 or 12 years or whatever it is. In 2001, the recommendations for Colgan over Commute Air went through bankruptcy, exited the EAS program, and the transition to a fee for departure. 2001 and 2018, only one credible bid. Each bid in that period, and each period through those years that we had, only had one bid each time. In 2018, recommended United over Penn Air. Penn Air, within 2 months, sold at an auction, and they're no longer in existence. There was some things going on there that we didn't know about, or we assumed was taking place. We made the right choices, the city council did, along with the airport advisory. In 2020, the recommendation to United over Silver. Silver no longer exists and left several airports with millions of dollars of uncollectible debt. In 2024, recommended JetBlue over United, and United exited the EAS program. Over 100 daily operations eliminated in Newark, 100% of which were in regional routes. So what we've done over the years, you can look at it and say we've done a good job making the right choices, what we've done. And that's, we don't want to mess that up. We want to make sure we're involved with that. On page 11, or the slide 11, there's a lot of dates on there, but basically, we know February the 11th, that's been done, that the request has been sent to the US DOT. The airlines, by Wednesday of March the 18th, the airlines have to have their bids in. So we're looking next week, 10 days from now, the bids will be coming in. So that's on Wednesday. On Thursday, all bids will be publicly available. You can look online on the underneath the regulations and .com for US DOT. So on Thursday, city manager is going to get your information to you people as the city council, and as the director of the airport advisory airport is going to give it out to us as the airport board. And on the 19th, or I should say on the 23rd, which is the meeting I said that we've already scheduled ours, we're going to have just an information type meeting, informal. And then on the 23rd, we're recommending, which is a Wednesday, that we all meet, have that joint session of the city council, airport advisory board. That's where we would meet, discuss, listen to what the proposals are. It's all on that last page is the dates that would be what would have to happen to make this thing come together. Once it's chosen as to who the city council appoints or advises for the US DOT, then we're looking at the city manager would send out a letter on the Friday recommending what the city council has approved and send it off to the US DOT, looking for them to be able to make the final decision.
Right, great.
So that's all I have to give you. It's our recommendation. It's an opportunity to be able to work together, streamline it, try to cut back so there's not so many meetings, and be able to do it in a way that everybody's got a chance to be able to put an input into it and to be able to make an informed decision as to what we need to do. We want to do it the right way, and we're trying to make it so it's simplified. So.
Granville, I appreciate your presentation of the outline on the Airport Advisory Board's recommendation process. And that was some interesting stuff in there, and going to be a lot going on here coming up real quick, I think.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Scott, is there anything you wish to add to that? Very well. Well, nicely done, folks. Great, thank you.
Scott's not talking tonight?
That happened. He's had a long day. Moving along, agenda item number 11 is going to be approve.
We got.
I'm sorry?
Yep.
Was there?
Mr. Chairman, I would move the city council authorize the city manager and the airport director to follow the procedure as outlined in the memo we just heard from Granville for the 2026 EAS recommendation process.
I'll second that.
All right, motion made by Craig and seconded by Hank. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 7-0. All right, great. Thanks, folks. Okay, now we can move along.
Nope.
Nope.
No, where's the second one?
Right underneath the first one.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
My word.
Now he's talking.
Oh, wait a minute. You had your chance. Wait a minute.
Oh, there we go. I'm sorry. I'd already passed by it. Okay. Anybody
Thanks,
want
Scott.
to-
Thank you, sir.
Scott, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
I think we're looking for the ARF SRE building expansion. gets started. Once that gets queued up, it'll be the same as your slides. Well, basically, what I want to talk about is take a little different approach, or make the approach a little bit more clear with this building project than it seems that the terminal really kind of followed. We haven't really done anything, expended any money, anything in regards to this building expansion. Essentially, the expansion was recommended in the airport master plan, which was completed in 2020. But beyond that, and some preliminary estimates, nothing's been done. So this is City Council's opportunity, okay? If you can sit there and say that we're just not interested in doing this project, you can pull the plug right tonight, and nobody will lose any money, and no work will be lost. So let's talk about the project, why we might want to do it, why we might not want to do it. So what is this SRE building anyway? Okay, it's actually pictured up on the screen now and in your presentation. It's the building located next up from the passenger terminal. The building really houses two functions. It houses the airport fire response vehicle, the ARF, and it actually, the special fire truck sets in the bay that is in the south part of the building where you see the single door. Also housed there is the airfield maintenance department. That's where the snow removal equipment gets stored. In the summertime, we kind of rotate some of that equipment to other storage, and we put you know, the tools, the equipment we use to maintain the airport through the summer. So that's the building we're talking about. It was built in 1993. It's a nice building, attractive building. It's got some split block around the bottom of it, and probably we can say it's served the city well. We're not talking about tearing that down. We're talking about just making it a bit larger, okay? And so why would we do that? It's a perfectly good looking building. Why would we change that? And the answer is really because the FAA advisory circular says so. The first issue with the building is the bay for the fire truck is too small for the fire truck. The fire truck can fit in there now, but the clearances between the fire truck and the walls are not large enough to meet the FAA requirements. The FAA, as you can see there in the excerpt out of the advisory circular, the FAA recommends at least a 6 feet clearance between the vehicle and the walls and storage areas, and 8 feet between the vehicles parked side by side, and the other things don't necessarily apply. We don't have 6 feet, and that's an issue that's been brought up by more than one FAA safety inspector, and it was also identified in the airport master plan. So there it is in black and white. So why are we considering increasing the size of the snow removal equipment heated storage area? That's the area that has most of the doors and has more square footage than the ARF area does. And the answer to that would be because the FAA advisory circular says so. And if you look down through that paragraph there, it'll talk about how all FAA purchased snow removal equipment should be stored in a heated building. And I think certainly the city of Presque is familiar with some of the reasons why you do that. That was one of the reasons why we went from our old public works building to the current public works building, because there was a lot of issues associated with maintenance and the vehicles being ready to go when they need to go. And the FAA recognizes that as well. And when you're trying to fight to keep the snow depth 1/8 of an inch or less in order to give a 5, 5, and 5, when the white stuff starts coming down, you want the trucks to start and you want them to go. And when you put them away, you want that ice that's built up on them to melt off. You do your repairs and stuff, and you're ready to go for the next time. So that's the basis of why we're doing this. What does the airport master plan say about our vehicle bay? Well, the airport master plan did in fact identify the fact that we didn't have the required clearances. They even took a nice little picture of the front of the ARF vehicle, and you can see how close it is up against the door. And their recommendation is the size of the ARF bay should be increased to accommodate the existing ARF index B truck. So that's what the engineers and planners doing the master plan said about the ARF. If I was Joe Q. Public walking down the street, one of the things I would say is, well, that shows a lack of planning on the airport's part to get a fire truck that's too large. That's what I would say. Okay. And so how do I address that? Well, fire trucks have a tendency to change in design over time. As I mentioned, this building was built in 1993, and since that time, the fire trucks have gotten lower to the ground and wider, okay, and longer. When we bid, when we put this current fire truck out to bid, we got 3 bids. We chose the smaller and less expensive E1 bid over the Oshkosh truck, which was larger. It still would have fit in there, but we probably would have been down to a clearance of inches. The third fire truck was really a European design. Both Daryl and I felt that, and it wasn't the low bid either, but the European design, we really were pretty concerned about the availability of parts and that kind of thing. So we really did think about the size of the truck by picking the smaller and actually the less expensive one. So if somebody in Dwight's barber shop, if you decide to move forward with this project and they ask you about that, you have an answer for that. So what does the airport master plan say about the SRE building, okay, where we store the snow removal equipment? They concurred with the fact that all of the FAA eligible equipment should be stored in heated space. It all isn't stored in heated space at the present time. And what they recommended is that the airport expand the maintenance SRE portion of the building to 22,100 to 23,200 square feet to accommodate the storage of all maintenance equipment in SRE. So, again, if I was at Dwight's barber shop or walking down the street and I was Joe Q Public, I might say, well, I really think the airport probably has too much equipment, and we've solved this problem by selling some of it. Well, the FAA actually has a piece of software that they put in all our operating characteristics plus the type, the amount of snowfall we have and some other factors, and they actually determine how much snow removal equipment we're supposed to have. And it's that amount of snow equipment that they will provide storage for, okay? Not any more, not any less. So it's FAA requirements that are basically saying we have to have heated storage. It's also FAA requirements that tell us how much equipment we have to have in order to maintain the airfield, and thereby really tells us how many square feet we should have. So one of the things that, as we tend to get along in these projects, one of the things that usually comes up is, well, I didn't know anything about this. There really should be public input on this. Public input was part of the master planning process. The master planning process includes a TAC, or a technical advisory committee. That's made up of various stakeholders at the airport, but it's also made up of some of our airport advisory members who represent the general public. We also had two public information meetings during the master planning process. So even at the master planning process stage, we were asking for public input. Next page. So what's the total cost of this thing? The different group of engineers at this point estimate $8.3 million. So let's talk about the project cost breakdown. How do we come up with $8.3 million? Well, the design, permit, and bid stage of this, which could occur this year, is $800,000. This construction phase 1 is $4.5 million, and construction phase 2 is $3 million. Okay, now how are we going to pay for that? Okay, we're not going to pay for it with local taxpayer money. Local property tax money. I'm going to say it again. Okay, we're not going to pay for it with local property tax money. So how are we going to pay for it? We're going to pay for it, 95% of it, if we keep the entire project FAA eligible. And how we keep the entire project FAA eligible is we don't add a lot of want-to-haves. Okay? Oh, it'd be nice to have. You all have done projects, right? And somebody always comes along and says, boy, it'd be nice to have that. Wouldn't it be nice to have that? We're not going to do that, okay? This is different than the terminal because if we do this right, 100% of this project will be FAA eligible. So FAA pays 95% of the stuff that is FAA eligible. So that's about 7.8 million. The Maine Department of Transportation matches with 2.5%. That's 207,500. Well, that leaves just 2.5% left. That 2.5% comes from the airport. Now, when you buy a ticket, an airline ticket out of Presque, there's always these taxes and fees, right? And those taxes, and part of those taxes and fees is something called a passenger facility charge. And that passenger facility charge is about $4.50. Okay, so of that big ticket price, $4.50 goes to a PFC. Now, about 25 cents of that is kept by the airline for administration for collecting the fee. The other $4.25 actually gets paid back to the airport, and it goes into a fund to basically provide local matches. And so the just to make it clear, no local property tax money here. Okay. Now, at this point, I see if you have any questions about the funding, because that's it. That's where the rubber meets the road, is the money part. Okay. And I'd entertain any questions about that before I ask you a couple of questions. Yes, sir.
The passenger fee, is that fixed by FAA?
The passenger fee, the maximum is fixed by FAA. The maximum is $4.50. The airport has actually, prior to me becoming airport manager, the city made the determination that they wanted to start charging a passenger facility charge. And that was back in 2002. And that was set at $4.50.
Still the same.
And it's still the same, yeah. So now, as I have explained before, when I've presented passenger facility charges to people or to this board, okay, if we don't get it, Boston Logan's going to get it, because that's how it works. On each when you go on vacation, okay, let's say you fly from here to Boston to Denver, and then over to San Francisco. Okay, if we don't charge the passenger facility charge, Boston's gonna be able to do it, and Denver's gonna be able to do it. Okay, and not so much now, but traditionally, especially when we had Penn Air, we had Colgan, and to a certain extent United, a lot of times you had to do a double connect. You did 3 hops, so to speak. And FAA allows the first 2 airports collecting the fee to charge the fee. So even if we don't collect a fee, other airports are gonna collect a fee. Good question, though.
Scott,
Appreciate that.
It's a big expansion. Like how big are these vehicles and how many are there? Like, I mean, because that's like just the expansion's 160 by 100.
Yeah. And basically right now, we have that entire building, okay, filled with snow removal equipment. And then we have another, one of the hangars up at the north end, the biggest one, the one that's had the addition on the back, that is chock full of snow removal equipment as well. Okay. One broom has a 20-foot head on it, 20 foot wide. Okay.
And you have 3 of them. Is that what I read?
That we have 3 brooms. Now, the 3rd broom can sway either way. We can put a broom head on it, or we can put a snowblower head on it. Our previous maintenance foreman, Russell Clark, he typically wanted to have all 3 brooms, and the current ops superintendent, he wants 2 blowers and 2 brooms.
And they're all of them are 20 feet wide. And then how deep?
I can't tell you how deep. Yeah, but see, I didn't come up with the square footage. The way the square footage was came up with is actually by the engineering firm, by taking the dimensions and coming up with the square footage.
Do you have the footprint on the ground up there to accommodate this addition?
Yes, we do. Yeah. There's quite a distance from the building down to the street, and there's a good chance to add to that.
What if we don't become compliant?
Excuse me?
What if we don't become compliant with what FFA?
Okay, and that's coming right up in a few minutes, because we're going to talk about a no build risk, and if you decide to build, there's some risk as well. Okay.
So
Is it,
go for it.
is it guaranteed that FAA is gonna pay 95%? And what if there are other expenses that you maybe haven't considered? Where
Well,
does that money come from?
the thing is, as you plan the project, if you can avoid the, well, we're right here kind of thing, we can keep it at 100% eligible. Terminals, you cannot keep them at 100% eligible, because airline operation offices, TSA offices, and even the airport director's office is not eligible. But this building, if we plan it right, it should essentially all be eligible.
That's why we pay $800,000 for proper planning, right?
So Scott, like I've had to reset my whole
No reply.
my whole calibration of price per square foot with the airport. Like why would a garage cost $500 a square foot?
518 and 75 cents.
It just
So I don't know that we need to get hung up on that, because it's
well they're paying for most of it, right?
who?
FAA or
Yeah, well,
But
we're paying
I'd like
zero.
to answer that question.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure.
So here's the thing. When a lot of people, it's the same thing when I'm building a hangar funded by EDA, and Tom is building a wide open building to put Frito-Lay in. Okay, Tom's spending the city council or city Presque's money. Okay, he doesn't have to follow Buy American. He doesn't have to pay Davis Bacon wages. okay? He can do a design build with Buck Construction, okay, where I have to hire a engineer and do it the more traditional design and bid. And even Buck Construction will tell you, Buck Construction will not do a project where there's an engineering firm that designs it right down to the bolts, and there's then the contractors just bid on it. But construction does the design build, and Mr. Martin will actually tell you they save a lot of money by not having the engineers in the middle of that, okay? And Hank's kind of smiling about that because he's probably heard the same speech that I have, okay?
It probably wasn't as polite either.
Yeah.
It was more colorful, I'll say
Yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of factors that go into that that tend to push cost up. There's also FAA has requirements that if you're building the building on your own, you don't really have to follow those requirements. So that's the maybe not so short answer. But I think, go ahead.
So, why now? This first advisory came out 18 years ago,
Yep.
and the other one came out, what was it, 12 years ago or 8 years ago or something like that?
Yeah.
Why,
So-
why now and not?
So
Is there any chance that once this new airport is built, there could be new requirements that we just have to expand it again, type of thing?
That's a very, very good question. Okay, and I'll take the snow removal equipment case first. In 2015, 2016, how we had to maintain the airfield fundamentally changed. Okay, and we used to be able to have ice on the runway because not, as you know, as we all know, not all ice is created equal. There's actually some of it that's fairly rough, and so on and so forth. The FAA that all ice is bad. Okay, that's when we started bringing in the brooms. Okay, fast forward to 2018. Okay, 2000 United comes along. Okay, we have a little incident in 2019. Okay, it wasn't the airport wasn't culpable in that in any way, but the airline itself, their reaction to that is unless we can see the runway markings, we're not going to land at your airport. Holy smokes. Okay, so that means I have to have that dusted off, okay, or you're not going to land. So there comes a bunch more equipment. So what has happened over the years, we've added a lot more equipment, and so we need a lot more space to store it in. And you might say, well, you've gotten this long. Yeah, we have. We've had other priorities that we've had to fund, and we did those. The terminal was seen as a higher priority than this. Now, as far as our vehicle is concerned, as I say, I've had probably 5 or 6 times the FAA safety inspector comment on that. Okay. Now, in my 22 years at the airport, sometimes I've made some decisions to not follow their recommendation. Okay. If they're not really enforcing it, okay. But what I've learned, you're only one incident somewhere in the United States from them going from kind of, yeah, we're kind of recommending it, to this is going to be done, and you're going to tell me when it's going to be done, and it better not be 10 years from now. Okay? And that's the dynamic situation that we're in at the airport. So, now, I do have some questions for you as you discuss this. One thing that I want to know is, would City Council have a predetermined cost maximum for this 15,000 to 16,000 square foot expansion, even though it does not require any local property tax money? Okay, so just like Mike did, okay, his comment, he's representing his constituency very well. Okay, there's a lot of people on the street, they have a figure in their head what that ought to cost. It's a garage. What, you know, this is what it should cost. If the city council, I take my cues from the city council. I can't talk to everybody on the street. Okay, so if city council basically says, that $8.3 million, that sounds too expensive to us. You might tell me, hey, you get to do this project for $5 million, or we're not interested. Or you might say, if you're designing this thing and it goes over $9 million, the estimate, you got to chop it down. Less square footage. Most architects will tell you 90% of your cost is in the square footage. Usually, if you get really really aggressive, you can shave 10% off the cost of building.
Well, Scott, I stop you right there. I mean, we're in no way qualified to tell you what the dollar amount is. What I will tell you is, if you have a design team in place and a cost estimator team in place, and you have the FAA on hook for listening to them to build it, then my suggestion would be that we should defer to them as long as the FAA is also listening to them and funding it at the percentage that they are going to not put the burden on us.
Yep.
I think that's the only answer I can give you, and I don't know about the rest of you,
No,
but I think that's all I can tell you.
And that has been consistent with city councils over my tenure here at the city of Presque. It's only probably in the last year or two. I think the public has, social media has really warped things. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying it's good. That's not for me to decide. But the thing is that has consistently, when I had only been here a couple of years, and I had a city council that told me, if you can get 95% money out of the FAA, okay, where do we sign? Okay. But in the last 2 or 3 years, that seems to have wavered a little bit. Okay, so.
Well,
now,
so Scott, like, I'm supportive of it. I'm concerned operationally, expense-wise. Like, I hope they're not going to want to put an electric heat pump to heat it with doors opening and closing. Like, I think we need to use oil or wood. But I mean, with that funding model, I don't have issues. It's just an expensive project.
and you can all say that. Right tonight, you can all say this thing will be fueled with fossil fuel, or you can say, I want this heated with propane or whatever. At this point, you can do that. And I mean, I have my own personal feelings about heat pumps and the heat pump cycle and stuff like that. And that was one of the reasons why, in the case of the terminal, when the engineers wanted to do it all with the heat pump cycle, I brought it back to City Council. And I provided the recommendations from the engineers, also said some of the comments that I was getting from people that, you know, sell fossil fuel, you know, and I said, you decide. And I think the vote was unanimous to go with the engineer's recommendation. But if there's a feeling amongst this board, and it could be other design things, you might say we want the building to be green, okay, the color green, not necessarily energy efficient, but.
Well, I don't think we need to go down that
Yeah,
road, honestly. I think that the answer is, you know, we can move forward with the concept, but I think we're just going to tell you, we want the concept to conform to all applicable FAA standards, that will see that the funding comes in to pay for it, that is not a burden on the community. Period.
Okay.
Right.
I think that's where I'm at. I don't know about you guys.
We don't want any extras. We
Right.
want what they recommend.
Yeah, we want what they're going to pay for, what they recommend, and we want the funding to come in.
And make it as big as possible free for the taxpayer.
Okay, so I know I've been a while here, okay, but this is the time to really iron this stuff out, because if you say yes to this tonight, if you say yes to it, tomorrow I'm making a phone call to the engineering firm and say, okay, get your scope of work together. Okay, and then I'm calling the independent fee estimator and say, be ready to review the scope, and the dollars start ticking. Okay.
But when you do that, like we did with the terminal, the FAA looks at that, says you've done it in the prescribed manner, and we will stand behind it. Correct?
That's correct.
Well, then that's all we need to know.
So what's the
Yeah.
concern?
So okay. Some no build risk. Maybe I should move to the build risk, because people seem to be kind of moving in that direction. So what's the risk of building this? The public perceives the project as raising their local property tax. Okay? I think it was 1 or 2 years ago, there was a prominent citizen that stood right at this podium, and he was talking about his local property taxes going up, and he specifically mentioned the airport. Okay. Now I followed up with this gentleman, and I said, and he's a gentleman, very nice guy. I said, look, there's no local property tax that's going into any of those airport projects. And in fact, there is no local property tax that pays to run the airport. And he said, oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay, so we're going to say it again, but there's a risk that when you go to the barber shop or walk into the mall or whatever, somebody is going to basically say, you shouldn't have built that up at the airport. The airport's getting too big, and it's increasing my local property tax. Second risk, turnover in city councilors results in reasons behind the project getting forgotten, and a no-build preference occurs. Okay? You all are sitting here, and you're going to say yes. When this project is actually built, some of it, I hope you all are here, but you know, things happen, you know, and people move or whatever, and I'm gonna be looking at some new members, okay? What I would hope would happen is if new members come on and you're still here, some of you, okay, essentially inform the new members. This is why this decision was made. Cost is another risk. Cost of the project goes beyond the 8.3 million, and we are too far in to turn back. Okay? The time to basically decide not to do this project is not when you have the bids. Because when you have the bids, you've already expended $800,000 in engineering fees. And if you don't go forward with the project, okay, the FAA is going to want their 95% of the $800,000 back.
But Scott, if the project goes beyond the 8.3 at the point that the engineers design it, the cost estimators estimate it, you go through the FAA process, the FAA will look at the new higher amount.
Yes,
Correct?
that's right.
Yeah. So this isn't really a risk. This is just a potential risk, but it's not realistic if you follow the prescribed process.
That's right. It only becomes a risk in how the public perceives it.
Right.
If the public perceives that it's local taxpayer money that's going into the project, okay, well, you just increase the project by 25%, that's going to make my local property taxes go up more. That's where the risk is. Another risk, expectations of what the project entails to match with the design eligibility criteria. That's while we right here syndrome. We're gonna basically do this project so it's 100% FAA eligible. Okay. This project will require congressional directed spending. Okay. In FAA's hierarchy of funding, this particular project does not score particularly well for discretionary funding. Okay, so the FAA behind the scenes is gonna say, you know, Scott, try to get congressionally directed spending for this. Now, the risk of that is that Sonia has a list of projects that she got input on that's a mile long, okay? And everybody's kind of looking at me saying, when are you going to be done at the airport? Okay, well, this project is probably only going to get funded if there's congressionally designated spending put to it. Okay, now, explanation about congressionally designated spending.
Oh, we're okay with that.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And project will consume my valuable staff time. Okay? If quite frankly, these building projects are a lot of extra work. And if you took a pass on this project tonight, I'd be going down the stairs whistling a happy tune. Okay? Because these projects are a pain in my rump. Okay? So, the other thing to think about is this isn't the only airport project. Okay? So if you're to the point where there's too many projects going on at that airport, it's too big, we gotta shut that down. Okay? If you're to that point, all right, I'm here to tell you on this sheet, here's more projects coming, and there's some of those projects on this list that are more important than than this project. Now, they'll be funded at the 95% level as well. Now, in the case,
Well, that's okay. I think the thing is, Scott, is that, you know, you wouldn't have brought this to us now if I'm correct, that this isn't a worry that's coming because of having that equipment sitting outside and having all of this happen.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess, one thing I'll tell you, don't ever go into sales. You're gonna suck at it, okay? So, but as far as this goes, you know, I think you've made a good case for us to look at it. I think, you know, for myself, if you are looking at it that they're paying for this and it's something that we truly will need to address at some point, it's not going away.
no.
Not going away.
And there is, and that's the big risk.
Right.
If you don't do anything, is all of a sudden they start enforcing their requirement, okay? And the other risk is our employees know what the requirement is. And sometimes they'll bring it up as a safety issue. And so
Yeah, the work environment.
that's right. But the thing is, my job, okay, contrary to what some people believe, my job isn't to sell you on anything. I propose stuff, it's your job to dispose, okay? If like I said, for me personally, I'd be really happy if you said no to this project. Okay?
It's getting late, sorry.
And you know what? I told the FAA the exact same thing, because I have, in my opinion, I have been forced to
Everything.
have a lot more snow removal equipment than was absolutely necessary, because they changed the rules in 2016. Okay, and if
They
they,
aren't probably changing it back, are they?
of course not.
No, so there you go.
So you're confident that the airport can easily handle the 2.5% contribution on this funding breakdown?
Yeah.
Okay.
The PFCs, and I mean we didn't use any PFCs on the terminal because it would have just made a small dent. It was better just to.
So you see this being able to work?
Yep.
Do you have any concerns with the electric or the heat costs? I would imagine that will be quite a bit more.
For operating cost increases?
Essentially, the heating cost, the cost of operation, will have to be borne by the users of the airport, just like it is today. Okay. In the case of the terminal, Mike asked that same question. Because he asked that question, I'm not even sure if he was on the city council when he was asking it, but we had the engineers do a detailed operating cost analysis, and that gets fed right into the rental fee for the terminal. Okay, and it's the same way with this. We have to do this because the FAA says so, and we have to have all of this equipment because the tenants require it.
So how would the FAA fund a jet bridge? Would they fund that?
The jet bridge, basically in the case of the jet bridge, if we want to put it in our 5-year capital plan, we put it in the 5-year capital plan. But the story behind the jet bridge, I wanted a jet bridge, but I had a 5-member building committee, and 2 people on that committee who really know a lot more about jet bridges than I do told me I don't want a jet bridge, okay? Because jet bridges, when it's 30 below zero, okay, the exact time when you want the jet bridge, they don't work all that well. if you bring a jet bridge into the airport, you're going to have 24/7 coverage for that jet bridge. If that airplane shows up and the jet bridge doesn't work, there's going to be a phone call to the airport. Got to get here and get the jet bridge working. That's very expensive. Okay. Number 2 reason. Jet bridges are one of the leading sources of aircraft damages in the airline industry. That's the reason why I changed my opinion from, you mean I'm building this thing and I'm not going to get a jet bridge? To an airport manager, a jet bridge is like a Cadillac. Okay? It's a status symbol kind of thing, you know? But two people who really knew a lot more about jet bridges than I did, that was on the committee, they said, Scott, we disagree with you. We don't think this is a good time to do a jet bridge.
So with the examples that you just gave and the expense for the damages that you were just talking about or repairs to the jet bridge, would that outweigh the cost of maybe a possible liability suit if somebody should slip, fall because the steps aren't de-iced? Or
the liability for walking from the terminal to the airplane does not fall on the airport or the city of Presque. It falls on the airline. The airline is in the best position to evaluate the safety of walking across that ramp, and if there is a slip and fall, it is wholly their responsibility. And that is consistent with how the Portland Jetport does it. Because that's a very good question, Hank, because that happened to me when I was fairly new here, and I didn't have that exclusion, and the city ended up sharing the slip and fall liability with the airline. Okay, and I did my research, and I found other airports. No, that's the airline responsibility. So currently, we have no liability exposure associated with that. Good question, though.
All right, yeah, jet bridge discussions for another day, but what we got ahead of us right now is waiting on a motion to be made. You guys,
Yeah, I see no reason to move forward because it's just gonna be getting costlier later down the road as it is anyway.
Yep.
It's been 100, I move we accept it.
well, that would be the one thing, is that phase 1 and phase 2 were all in 2027. And was that itemized list put together in 2026 using those prices to go along with that? And would those costs transfer into 2027? And again, where would that extra money come from?
Well,
But if it raises,
we go through
they're
the
still given the
process-
95%.
Yeah, if you go through the process, the FAA will update the prices as they go, as long as you're going through the cost estimator process and all of the items, correct, Scott? Because we're looking at these costs as total estimates at this point.
So the way the FAA does things is they actually grant based on actual bids. So for example, if a bid comes in and that's a good question too. You guys have great questions tonight. If it comes in at $9 million, that's the low bid. The FAA at that point, okay, will make a decision. Yeah, we think this is fair and reasonable, and we're gonna have you write the grant for $9 million, or they might say, like say the low bid is $50 million. They're gonna say that's not reasonable. Okay, we have to rebid this, and or they might walk away from the project.
So basically, they're gonna update the price,
Yep.
so that's not a concern.
Yep.
Well, the only other concern would be the 2.5%, because as they're increasing prices, he's still on the hook for 2.5%. Is he going to be able to cover that portion of it?
You're talking like $10,000 or $20,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it would change.
If that comes in at 15 grand and the FAA says no, what happens with that 800,000 in the bid portion?
We still get reimbursed for it.
We do. Okay, so
Yeah.
even if the whole thing fails and it's not our fault, we're not out.
It's imperative on us to follow the process, and as long as we do, we're covered.
Okay.
Okay, so,
So, Herman,
we have a motion on the floor made
you
by
want to read
Herman.
it exactly as it is? The motion?
Me or Herman?
Well, just
Be it resolved by Counselor Herman, and seconded by, not seconded yet, to authorize the city manager and the airport director to procure the engineering services of Hoyle Tanner Associates and pursue FAA/MDOT funding to complete the design, permit, and bid phases of the expansion of the airport's aircraft rescue and firefighting snow removal equipment building. Further, a maximum project cost is established
I
for,
don't think we need to read that
we don't, why not?
because it says if the maximum cost exceeds, we direct the project be scaled back, which we did not say.
Okay,
I think there's like 3 motions put together here.
yeah, maybe. Well,
Because then it says acknowledge city Presque elect not to move forward with construction at all.
Okay, so I'll second the procurement of the engineering services to pursue the funding and the design permit bid phases of the aircraft rescue firefighting snow removal equipment building.
period. Correct?
Yep. Period. Yep.
Motion made by Herman, seconded by Craig. Any further discussion? All of those in favor? 7-0. All right. There you go, Scott. Thank you for your presentation on that.
No whistling down the elevator tonight.
Yeah. No whistling. He's gonna be mad. All right. Moving right along. Agenda item number 11 is going to be to approve the 2025 Department Financial Review. This review provides the council with an updated look at overall 2025 expenditures and key operational areas, specifically the fire department, the airport, the library, insurances, and utilities. As for our standard fiscal oversight process, we monitor departmental spending against adopted budget projections. Current year-to-date reporting indicates that these departments or line items are overspent. The finance director will present a detailed analysis of the contributing factors, including operational drivers, cost fluctuations, contractual obligations, and external market pressures. The purpose of this agenda item is to provide transparency, outline the rationale for the variances, and present any recommended corrective actions or forecasting adjustments to ensure fiscal stability moving forward. Laura, what do you got to add to that?
Sorry, guys, I gotta excuse myself.
I understand, Mike.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hey!
So I'm gonna go over 5 departments that have gone over on expenditures. I'm gonna start off by saying that these are all unaudited numbers at this time. We're still making some adjustments. They're probably minor, but they can change. So for overall, our expenditures fell about 1.3 million below budget, and then our revenues also exceeded budget by $454,000. So to go over the departments that are currently overspent, we do have the fire department. They are over budget by $130,648. You will see this coming as overtime mainly. They did receive a grant in 2025 of $150,000, where $100,000 of that could offset their wages. You'll see that in their miscellaneous revenue as $100,000. So you won't see it against the expense, but it does come in the revenue. And then their fuel also exceeded budget by $3,862. Their revenue did fall below projection by almost $61,000, so that's where you'll see the $130,000 total. The library was $358 over budget. This came in from just little expenses. I didn't put into full detail of what they were for
Well, whoever didn't return their
$358.
books better get on it.
We want those books back.
Yeah. So just typical expenses, your electricity, water, and sewer. For insurances, we were over by $1,195. That fell mostly in our vehicle insurance. That exceeded by $2,370. We did add 3 additional vehicles, additional costs equal additional money, and we did have a couple claim activity as well. So, and then in utilities, this is for our blinker and traffic lights as well as street lights. Just as like a little side note, we did pay Versant $428,000 across the city this year in 2025. So just street lights exceeded budget by $17,572. Not much we can do at this time. That is what we have just paid.
Imagine if we didn't switch to LEDs.
And that's not including our solar cost. So that's just for Versant. And then you'll see kind of that come into play with the airport department, which is over budget by $30,000. Their electrical exceeded by $41,000, water and sewer by $2,000, legal services by $13,000. All other accounts were under budget, so that's why you'll see that this is only a $30,000 overage. This is covered by their reserve. Any capital gains and losses come out of their reserve as well. And I have, if there's any questions, I can take those. Other than that, I would seek approval of these overspendings for the fiscal year 2025.
Very well. Looks good, Laura. Thank you for that. Council, do you have anything you wish to add or any questions for Laura? All right.
That 100,000 that was for the fire department, that 130, that 100's in with the 130, or that's not, or it would have been 230?
That's with the 100 in there, so we're 130,000
Okay.
with that in there. But that's just seen in revenue as opposed to the expense side.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would move the city authorize the following departmental overspending for fiscal year of 2025, and the overages are in Department 4, 7, 16, 17, and 33 as presented by Laura just now.
Motion made by Craig,
I'll second
seconded
it.
by Hank. All those in favor? 7-0. Motion
6-0.
carries. It's 6-0, I'm sorry. Missed Mike's absence.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Steve, up next, we've got the review and approval of the updated 2026 5-year schedule of fees for Rec and Parks Department. Take her away.
All right, well, first and foremost, thank you for all you do. I will try to be clear and quick and to the point. Okay.
Oh, take your time.
Okay. Scott, come back up here. No, I'm kidding. I've been here for about a year now. I received this document when I first started here. This is a 5-year schedule of fees, of basic fees that we at the Recreation Department charge. When I received this document, it showed a 5-year plan starting in 2024, which would have been my year prior, and cut out for 5 years in advance. The document itself showed no changes over 5 years in anything. It was just flat, stagnant. And I reviewed that with my advisory board. I was instructed by my superiors to review this as well, because one of the things we are looking at is we need to find ways to increase revenue. And so I did a little research on this, looked at what we have going on here, where we can look to increase revenue in small increments. So I went to my advisory board, and I was instructed to review this, to make a recommendation of small increases. Our services are to be affordable, but we have to acknowledge that costs continue to rise. So we need to find small yet reasonable increases to address the needs of cost. Everything from the cost of minimum wage going up to the cost of baseballs increasing. So I was just going to go through this real quick. I'm going to go a little unconventional. I'm going to go from the bottom because that stuff's real quick and then go up. Okay. So you're going to see three major sections that's crossed out. It includes Mantle Lake Park Kitchen Pavilion, Riverside Gazebo, and Riverside Pavilion. And everything is there crossed off. And you go, why in the world did you do that, Steve? And the long and short of it is because our department doesn't oversee the rentals of those things at the current moment. The facilities department does. So until, furthermore, that changes back, there's no need for that to be on that fee schedule. Now, if that changes back in due time, which we're in processes of discussing, we will add that in the future. So it's no point in being on there if that's not what we do. So continue going up. The next thing you're going to see is in regards to equipment rentals. Equipment rentals, we see very little of this over the year I've been here. I am recommending we keep the vast majority of this is the same. One of the things that was listed, a pipe and drape partitions. I didn't even know what that was for the longest time. I think I do know what it is now, but it's not ours. And we've never had it asked for. So I said, scratch it. We don't even offer it because we've never had anyone ask about that. The only thing I changed in that equipment line item is starting next year, this year, for everything, I'm suggesting we keep everything the same as we did last year, and starting next year, we will see increases, okay? You'll notice, especially as we go further up in rentals and in programs, you'll see small increases in my reasoning behind that. But for sorry.
Are these small increases you're talking about going to be available if you need to replace any of the rentals that you have? Like if chairs get damaged, if tables get damaged, anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, and we'll take and consider that out of budgets as well, of what we have in our budget line items as well. But that will help address those needs as well. But it's also just looking at the needs of trying to find revenue as well. I changed chairs from $1.50 to $2. Why? Because I don't want to deal with 50 cents. I just want nice round dollar figures. It's that simple. But in a year that I've been here, we've never rented out chairs to outside entities. We've had chairs used for our rentals, which are included in those rental prices, but we've never rented out chairs. So again, that's why I kept that equipment stuff very straightforward across the line. Okay. Staffing and labor, this would be in the cases of when individuals are using the facility outside of normal operating hours. Again, very rare, but in those cases we would do that, and I'm looking at small increment increases. So I looked at a $10 increase starting in 2027, and then an additional $10 increase in 2029 for laborers. And then attendance, I made it from 27 to an even 30, and then moving that up from 30 to 35. So essentially, you're $60 for laborers and $30 for attendance. Laborers are individuals who are engaged, doing a lot of activities, whether that's moving equipment and so forth. Attendants are just building attendance. We're just there in process for that. Any questions so far? Okay.
I got one on equipment, on
Yes.
the one you scratched out for the curtain.
Yes.
I mean, what's that gonna be covered if you have to replace the curtain? Them are pretty costly.
You mean the pipe and drape partitions?
That's all up at the form.
Oh, this
not
a
down there.
form?
Yeah, that's the form. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So that's not our equipment, and so we've
Okay.
never had that used.
Okay.
No, the floor covers, that might be what you're thinking of, the big floor covers. That's the next thing that's down on equipment, on the floor covers. So, any other questions, Wally? Okay. Continuing on, then we get to the things that do get utilized a lot, starting with facility rentals. You'll notice as you look at the different rooms and what we have available, you'll notice two sets of prices. You'll notice the first price, which is the price of just a standard rental price, and the second price, which is the nonprofit price. Looking at what we've done in the past, we've generally had in the gymnasium area about a 75% cost for nonprofit versus regular rental price. I wanted to honor that as best as I could. For the remaining rooms, it's more of a 60% cost to full cost for rooms such as the senior center or the multi-purpose room. So I would take a $10 increase. I would try to get that as closely as I could to that 75% cost for nonprofits, and I'd make that adjustment. Same thing for multi-purpose room or senior room. We'd make those adjustments, and it'd be a 60% cost versus 100% cost. Last thing on facilities, down there where it says complete facility, I haven't had anyone rent out the full complete facility, but again, we just made a small increase of $100, 27, and then 29, just to, again, just follow that general staggering rate of increases. One thing I did notice, and the top thing on rentals, was our most popular rental thing, the thing we do all the time. It's not even on the schedule. I was like, that should be on the schedule, which is our birthday package. If you go down to the Sargent Family Community Center, especially during winter time on a Saturday or Sunday, you turn your head towards the senior room, you are going to see very likely a birthday party happening in there, or possibly like a baby showers, things like that. But most times it's a birthday party, usually for like a 3, 4, 5-year-old kid. That is by far our most popular renting package. And I go, we have a form for this. Why in the world is this not on the schedule of fees? So that's why I put it on there. It's a birthday package where you get 2 hours of the senior room, and then you get an hour of either half the gym or the multi-purpose room. We've been currently charging $125. We propose an increase in 27 at $140, and then up to $150 in 2029. I will say, patrons come to us and they say, we love renting from you guys because it is a very affordable option. We do recognize we do not want to take away from our private business sector, but it is nice to provide a affordable option for individuals.
That's a deal.
Oh, it's a deal, and it fills. And
Yeah,
people,
I'm sure.
it's amazing how many
Good, that's
times poor Erica has to deal with calls, and they're like, oh, wait, it's already taken. Yes, it is already taken. So we fill up on those.
Well, no, and what a great use of the facility for that purpose as well. I mean, that's great. I mean, that's what it should be used.
That it is, yes.
In my opinion.
Yeah. The last thing you'll see is programs, and you'll see a $35 cost. Now, that is not the cost of all our programs. That's just a general recreation-based program. And a great thing to base that off of is like our youth baseball program, our youth basketball. Your kids playing in that program, we're going to charge them $35. The program usually runs between 6 to 8 weeks, right? $35. Again, we're looking at small increments. So in 27, we dock that up to 40. In 29, we dock that up to 45. We understand that these are increases. They do affect especially multi-kid families, so we want to be respectful in honoring that, but we also acknowledge the increased cost of things. So we want to make things small, hopefully not too noticeable, but at least making a bit of a difference to help cover costs. Question?
We can revisit these fees, down the road, like say for
absolutely.
your programming. I mean, $35 this summer for the kid to play baseball, and well, 3 years from now it's going to be $10 extra. I mean, if you get some real squawk on that, I mean, that's easily adjustable.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Just
This
needs
is
to come back to you.
Yeah, it's a living, breathing document as it should.
No, Steve, I think what you got here for us is great. I like your mindset here of trying to be somewhat conservative with your increases, but yet somewhat mindful of the cost of doing business, if you will. I think it looks really good.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Nicely done.
No, I think that's great. I think it's super, and the only thing I would add to it is that, there's always people in the community that are in need, that can't afford things, and, I think the only thing that I would just kind of throw out to the community is, if people are community-minded and want to donate towards scholarships, if you will, that we could provide to people, then I encourage the community to do that, and I think it's a worthy thing, and I think we'd be more than happy to accommodate that and use it as appropriate with people that are trying to use our services and can't afford them.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because
100%.
that is something to mention. We do also have a 501c3 nonprofit account where we do sometimes receive donations from individuals.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're earmarked for certain things,
Yeah.
but other times it's available. very seldomly have we reached that, but we do encourage, and I think it is important to voice to people that if you are sitting there going, Johnny, I don't know if I can afford your baseball league, come talk to us. We'll make it happen.
Absolutely.
We will make it happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
100%.
Now, if you come to me 3 weeks after the registration deadline and I've already ordered uniforms and stuff, that might be a little bit more difficult, but, but we find ways to make it happen.
Yeah, but we make that work.
Yeah,
I
so-
mean, you don't want to turn down anybody who wants to come play baseball or soccer
Right.
for the summer
Yeah.
or be exclusionary to anybody for any financial reasoning.
We
at all.
built this department and we built this program around the fact that it's an equalizer, that no person in town, whether they've got the richest parents in town or the parents that are struggling,
Yep.
they're all equal at the rec department, and we want them all to have opportunity.
Yeah, we want it to stay that way.
You said there's family discount, more than one child?
No.
No. Okay.
No, not
I
at
thought
the
I heard
current
you say
time.
something about that.
Yeah, no. Not this time, but
No,
we
what
do
he's
keep,
talking about was with if you have 2 kids in the family, they want to make sure that the prices are reasonable so you can get both kids.
Gotcha.
in
yeah,
there.
we have to be mindful of that, especially, you have a large kid and, for one family, it's a $5 increase, but that family over there who has 4 kids, so it's like, well, that's $20, and that kind of stuff. So that's why we're trying to be mindful of those things.
100%. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you, Steve. We've got a motion on the table made by Craig
Second.
and seconded by Herman to.
Yep.
Oh wait. Oh no. I'm sorry. There is no. Yes, there is too.
Yep, there is.
Right there. My goodness. Motion made by Craig and seconded by Herman to approve the changes to the 2026 5-year schedule of fees for the Rec and Parks Department as presented. All those in favor? 6-0. Mike's absent. Passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Dave.
Keep doing what you do, man.
Sonia, you got a manager's report for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So recently I've been able to visit 2 places in the community and participate in one event recently, and I'd like to talk about that a little tonight. There are many wonderful events happening, so I'm not excluding any particular one, but these are just the places that I've seen and experienced. So I'd like to share a few updates that highlight the momentum and community spirit we continue to see across Presque Isle. First, I want to recognize the continued activity and growth at the Aroostook Center Mall. The mall remains an important hub for our region, and it is encouraging to see the range of shops, services, and events that continue to bring people through its doors. From local businesses to community gatherings, the mall continues to serve as a place where residents connect, shop, and spend time together, and we appreciate the ongoing investment being made there. Secondly, I would also like to welcome a new business to our community, Fern and Forest Baking. Located at 631 Main Street, has recently opened its and is already generating excitement. New small businesses like this bring creativity and energy to our downtown area, and we are grateful for entrepreneurs who choose Presque Isle as the place to launch and grow their ideas. Finally, I want to thank the Presque Isle Snowmobile Club for partnering with the Forum and Central Aroostook Association to provide snowmobile rides for their students. It was truly an incredible morning filled with laughter, volunteerism, and fun. Events like this are a great reminder of the generosity of our local volunteers and the strong partnerships that make our communities special. These moments, whether it is business growth, new entrepreneurship, or neighbors giving their time to create memorable experiences for young people, all contribute to the strength of Presque Isle. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sonia. We've got some announcements to make this evening. The Women's History Month exhibit, free, Women's History Month exhibit, free to women of the, what's this typo? No, there's a typo there. Women of the American Revolution which is at the second floor of the Turner Memorial Library. I'm sorry, I butchered that totally. The exhibit on women of the American Revolution, Margaret Corbin, free, McCain Conference Room, second floor, East Annex, Northern Light AR Gould Hospital. And a presentation, King George's Broad Arrow, that's free.
It's 9:15.
I gotcha. It's free at the Akeley Gallery, the Turner Memorial Library. The city has the following employment vacancies. Presque Police Department's looking for a patrol officer as well as a sergeant. And we have the following vacancies for boards and committees. The Rec and Parks, we're looking for one-year alternate. Assessment Review, we're looking for one-year alternate. Downtown Revitalization, we're looking for 3 4-year seats. Downtown TIF, we're looking for one-year community member. The Library Board, we're looking for 2 1-year alternates. The Planning Board is looking for one-year alternate. Please see the city clerk for an application or apply online. And something else to put a little further out on your radar, it's just a reminder of the Spring Community Cleanup Day coming up later on in April, April 22nd. Just keep your eyes and ears to Facebook for more information on that, or talk to somebody up at the Forum or the Facilities Department for more information. The next scheduled meeting of the Presque Isle City Council will be on Wednesday, April 1st, 2026. Right here in Council Chambers at City Hall at 6 p.m. And we'll see you all there. With that said, I would entertain a motion to enter executive session pursuant to State Statute 1, MRSA 4056C to discuss real estate.
So noted.
Motion made by Hank.
Second.
Seconded by Herman. All of those in favor? 6